guys, and you're watching the Good Wives Network. And no Mac today. She is out running errands, but I just finished watching Nancy from the Toll podcast interview of Sheriff Arnott, and I wanted to get my thoughts out there before I forget them and things get in my way and I forget stuff that I wanted to say. So we're gonna play it. There's no video or anything; it's just audio. I'm going to play it for you and react to it in real time, obviously. But man, I'm to say the least that I'm livid is an understatement. I am so annoyed by all of this. Like, I don't understand why we can't get a decent interview with anybody at all, ever. It bothers me. But welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Please start tapping and sharing and liking. Give me the heart me's. Let's push this out there. Please drop FYP down there if you guys would, to push it out. I think that Nancy did her best to try. I don't know why she edited it the way she did. That really bothers me because it makes me feel like it's a little dishonest in some ways. Because she tells you what she asks him and then she plays an answer instead of just playing the live, or the interview. So I don't know why she would choose to do it that way, but I don't know. It just gives me disingenuine in some ways, and that's not to say that she's doing anything wrong or anything like that. I think she's fine. I just don't know why she would have done it the way she did it. Hey, Silent Tears, thank you. Hello, everybody. Make sure we're tapping and sharing. Let's get it up to, a couple thousand here, and then I'll start playing the video. I have got a lot of thoughts. My thoughts are, I don't understand why no hard questions are ever asked of any of these people. I think that the sheriff largely gave a cop-out. He basically tried to say that he couldn't go down every rabbit hole. He had to tell his investigators to stop at some point. He said at some point that he had, over 20 investigators on this. And my comment was, if you had 20 investigators on this, and every single one of those investigators should be ashamed and should have been fired, because just to say that, I agree, we can't go down every rabbit hole. That's exactly what you were supposed to do. Well, we couldn't investigate the fraud, really, because there was no one to charge. What do you mean there was no one to charge? Okay, yeah, Dee Dee is dead, but her co-conspirator, at very least, I think I think Gypsy was the main fraudster, but, the whole thing sits wrong with me. It was exactly crazy as Carrie. It was very disappointing. I don't know what I was hoping that would have come out. There's no explanation for what his department did. None. Okay. You can sit here and you can say, I couldn't go down this rabbit hole, or I couldn't go down that rabbit hole, or people didn't want to talk, but that's your fucking job. That's your whole effing job. The whole job. And you failed at your job, and every single one of you failed at your job. And she acted like he didn't have all this information. He acted like he didn't have this information. But sir, everything that we have today is from your department, other than the medical records. That's it. He didn't even know what medical records they had. Now, I get it. He is the sheriff, okay? He's not the investigator. He is the person in charge of the investigators, and, but it's his job to ensure that his investigators did their job. And when you have CSI measuring a blanket from 3 different places in the room, you didn't do your job. Okay? You didn't do your job. Period. And now this man has become is a U.S. Marshal. He bragged about how he had 37 years on the force, and 17 of those were him as sheriff. Well, all 37 of them were wasted on this one case. One case destroyed it. You are a sack of shit investigator, and so is your entire team, in my opinion, allegedly for entertainment, educational purposes only. Hey, baby girl, I think you hit it. Did you want to come up? Let me go. I'll go ahead and have you come up. That's no problem. Like I said, we don't have Mac today, so it's just me.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? I haven't talked to you forever.
I was just thinking the same thing, and I thought I would be the only one about that interview, but I was just like, You guys are absolutely lazy. This whole thing just fell apart because because of your laziness. And then you're going to sit up there and act like you know something and you haven't even heard anything of the real truth at all. So you're just reiterating the same bullshit that you did in the first place. You know what I mean?
No, totally. And the thing is, I don't understand, like Becca did this with David and Kim, she did it with him, of like feeding them the evidence that they already know exists.
Yeah.
And then them acting like they don't know. Okay, well, Kim and David can act like they don't know, but Sheriff Arnott cannot. Okay?
Right.
You can't act like you don't know what was in your evidence fucking locker. Okay?
I can't believe that they were promoting this like they did when it was just a nothing fucking bullshit burger.
It was. It was so no. And you know what? I was watching it last night because I took the whole day off yesterday. I needed a me day. Okay. So I played Sims for like 9 hours yesterday. Okay. Because I just needed a day. Like this has been a lot lately. With everything going on, it's been a lot. You know, we've got the autumn situation and the revenge stuff going on, and all of that is happening, and I try to stay away from most of all that. But yesterday I just needed to take a break, and I had completely forgot, honestly, about this, which is funny because I was like 2 days ago I was really excited. I was like, oh my god, let's see what he says, you know.
So was
I forgot about it, so I started watching it last night about, I don't know, midnight, I think. And by 12:30, because it's only an hour long, by 12:30, I was so livid I couldn't watch anymore. I like called up my friend and I'm like, I can't believe this shit. I'm so pissed. Like,
I know. I was almost afraid to make content about it because I'm like, everyone's going to disagree with me.
Yeah, everybody's going to tell you you're jealous or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I love your content, because you are like me. Like, I'm not playing into that stupid fucking bullshit for clicks and views, you know?
Well, I'm not going to give someone a pass to be ignorant when I know that they're not.
Right.
Exactly. Okay, he acted completely ignorant up there. Like, well, I don't even know when the micro deletion came into play. Like, what did he mean by saying that? He asked her. Like, well, do you even know when that came into play? Like, well, wait a minute. Is the question, when did she get diagnosed with it? Or is your question, when did we all find out about it? Like, which one of the things are you actually asking here? Because I know, personally, I know, and I can prove you knew about it from day one. Day one, you knew about that micro deletion because she said it in the emails or in the text messages to Aaliyah. She says it right there. You had medical records. He even said, "Well, I don't even know if they were were they really Hurricane Katrina survivors?" That's one phone call. That is one phone call to verify that. It's 10 years later and you couldn't make one phone call to verify whether they were or were not actually Hurricane Katrina survivors?
I was screaming at my phone at that point.
No, Becca didn't do the interview. It was Nancy from the Toll podcast. And like, I've got nothing against Nancy whatsoever. She seems like a very lovely person. I gave her a little bit of pushback on the fact that she didn't push back on him. And that really bothered me because I just don't understand. I don't get this new brand of journalism. Like, we ask questions, we get bullshit answers, and we just go on.
Investigative journalism is supposed to be you pressing that person to get information out of them.
Where is Barbara Wawa?
Right.
Right? Like, where's Barbara Wawa when you need her? Like, you know?
No shit.
Because, like, she would ask the questions, okay?
That's what we're used to. This fucking, like, sorry, I swore. But this.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Is like so stupid to me because even if they talk to Gypsy Rose, they just bypass the important shit and ask her about the dumb drama bullshit.
Yeah. It was so frustrating. Like, I just want one person that's reputable out there that has, like, you know, is in the real media, because we're in media, but it's not the same. Okay, it's just not the same. Yeah. Okay, I want one person, just one, to decide, you know what? No, I'm not going with this approved fucking narrative that you all have like basically force fed down our fucking throats. Okay. I'm not going with this. I'm going to ask some hard questions. Right. And I think she wanted to, but I just think she maybe thought she wouldn't get the answer she was looking for anyway, because she gives the commentary afterwards that she's disagrees with him, but we don't hear her disagree with him in that moment. Like, she's just telling you she disagrees. And I'm like, why didn't we hear that in the moment? Why didn't you disagree with him sitting across the table from him and be like, but wait a minute, Arnott, this is not true. What you're saying is not true. And you did have this information. He acted like he'd never seen any of or heard anything about the 150 videos. They came from your office, mofo.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, what do you mean?
Like, I haven't followed the new stuff. It's not new.
It was entirely laziness, in my opinion.
Very much. Very much. And then, like I said, the only explanation I have for why this is so botched, so bad, is corruption. There is no other explanation.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't, you can look at this case and know something's wrong. You just know.
Exactly.
And that's what's so frustrating to those of us that know it. We're like, I'm watching this happen, and I'm like, what kind of B-rated fucked up movie is this?
Right.
Like, who wrote this shit? Because this is terrible.
Exactly.
I'm like, good Lord, my 5-year-old grandson could write a better story for you. Like, Right. He tells a good story. He tells a good story.
Yeah, I know. My kids could come up with stuff.
Right, and he even admitted. Oh, just one second.
Yeah, the VisionCon stuff was weird. You're right. They had like a whole ring, I think, involved of like.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, I agree. No, my husband called in. No, I agree. I think that there is something very suspicious about VisionCon, and people try to make what I say into something so much more than what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They act like they
demonize you like so crazy. I just don't.
They think that anytime I push back on anything that I'm jealous or I'm whatever, and I'm not. I'm not jealous of any of these people. Like,
right.
Literally.
I read people really well, and like I read you to be just wanting to get the truth out there like I do.
Right.
Like we don't like, what is this drama bullshit between creators? I don't get it, and I don't want no part of it.
I don't want any part of it. I'm tired of it, and I'm trying to stay away from all of it. I don't give a shit about it. I don't care. To be honest, I don't care enough about these people to care. Like, that's the thing.
Exactly.
They're not in my life. They're not my friends. They're not nothing. They're not colleagues. Yeah. It's just,
I want to get along with everybody. I think if we all band together and really hashed this out, we would find out much more. And
right.
It wouldn't be like it is.
We had such an epic chance this last 2 years, and it just failed miserably because everybody can't put the things aside and actually work.
Yeah.
But the thing with the VisionCon, everybody seems to think that I think that like everyone who attends VisionCon must be a 3PDO, and that is not what I've said.
Right.
I have said, however, and this goes for any type of event like this. It's not just me singling out VisionCon and being like, oh, VisionCon's the craziest thing ever. No, anything like this is like that. Any type of major sporting event, convention, that's what they are. They're a hotbed for this type of activity. And to pretend that they're not is just so ignorant.
It is very ignorant. It's something that we should really be like trying to look more into, I think. The whole thing is just weird, and everybody pushes it aside.
They do. And it's a big deal in this thing. And him saying, well, I couldn't run down every rabbit hole. Okay, but you didn't run down the rabbit holes to figure out why a guy supposedly climbed through a window and let 2 other people in the house? You couldn't run down that rabbit hole?
Exactly.
That's a pretty big rabbit hole, and it's pretty important.
Exactly. And
he put his DNA in there for a reason, dude.
That's what I was saying. And then on top of that, you had said something about, I forgot his name now, but that's the reason that Gypsy Rose got Mike Stanfield as an attorney, like, immediately. Like, nobody gets a fucking public defender that quickly.
No.
You know?
And he asked for the case. It's not like Patterson went or whatever, whoever signs on that side. So Patterson, you sign on the other side. But it's not like they went and assigned it to him and he was like, oh shit, I got to do this.
Right. No, he wanted it.
Case on purpose. And he has a history of people that were around her that are involved in the exact activities that I am alleging happen. Yeah. It's like, to say anything otherwise is just so willfully ignorant.
Yes.
Especially in the time of Epstein. Like, hello.
I know. Exactly.
You guys act like it's a wild allegation. Hello, have you seen the millions of files with Epstein? It's not that wild a fucking accusation. It's the truth. It happens every day in every city across the entire nation.
Yeah, they're finding out stuff like that about all kinds of different organizations having that within them, Yeah.
And so it bothers me that they slough that off as nothing, Oh, well, we couldn't get people to talk. That's not an excuse for not doing investigations.
Right.
We couldn't figure out if they were really Katrina survivors or not. That isn't... Really? You couldn't?
You allowing people to go in there and contaminate a crime scene just like fucking enrages me.
Enrages me. Oh my God. It just, and nobody thinks that's odd.
Right.
Like,
I used to do autopsies with the coroner, and you would hear so many cases. I was just like an intern because I was going to school.
Yeah.
And so many cases are the same where they're everything that you see in the files for their autopsy, that shit gets bypassed big time too. In the cases, they just ignore shit. It's like purposely done.
Yeah.
By a lot of different departments.
Right. It's odd. And this case, I think that the reason why none of us can let it go is because it's not complete. It's not complete. And, I'm less focused on the gypsy aspect of it and more focused now on the rest of it, the rest of the people involved in this. Like, what happened with all of that? Why did the investigation go the way it did? And he's sitting up there talking about, well, we did the best we could. No, you didn't do the best you could.
And if
that was the best you could, then all of you don't deserve your job.
Because we've done a hell of a job with investigating this case, dude. Like,
right.
We're just content creators. Come the fuck on.
Right. It just, when this started in the Facebook group, we had nothing to go on. We just had our fucking thought processes of things that we were hearing,
Yeah.
And it's for all of us as just random people to be able to do more than your entire 20 investigators.
Yes.
It's sad. That's sad. It's really sad. You fucked it up, and you should take responsibility for that. No, now you're going to be a U.S. Marshal. Great. So you can fuck up the Marshal Service over there, too. Like,
I know, it's enraging.
It is. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start playing it. If you want to join, you can. If you want to, if you don't, you can hop down. But it just really...
Power on. The Bluetooth device
I got so frustrated with it because it just feels like we're never ever going to get a real answer from any of these people ever.
No,
exactly. The other stuff was important, and he deemed it not to be.
Exactly.
And that's not how an investigation is supposed to work.
No, that's not investigative work at all.
No. And then he then lays it at the feet of the prosecutor. Well, the prosecutor has to do, and he is still blaming Dee Dee. Yeah, he's still blaming Dee Dee.
Exactly. Oh my God, that enraged me so much. I was so upset.
Like, the proof has smacked you in the face. I don't care if you followed what we've done or not. The proof is there. The proof is there. It was in your office for all these years.
Yeah.
You could have done anything, and you chose to not. That's the thing. You chose. You even said, I told my investigators not to keep investigating. Well, that's on you then.
Right.
That's on you, and you should be apologizing for it because you're the reason she's out here. You in your
Exactly.
office.
Exactly.
And the rest of them. And then she even asked him, and we'll play all of it, but she even asks him about, social media and should that have been a condition of her parole? He's like, well, I don't even know how we would enforce that. What do you mean? It's enforced every day for many criminals all the time. What are you talking about? You don't know how that would be enforced. It absolutely should be enforced, and it should be illegal for these platforms to platform people like this.
Exactly.
That's why we need the laws changed. That's why Son of Sam isn't good enough anymore.
No, it's not.
Because it didn't allow for where we are today.
I hope that they can get that reformed with the Mackenzie Shirilla case and them
We're working on it. I have a lady who, Esoteric Atlanta, Bryce, she works with a lot of the Son of Sam lawmakers that write it and everything. And she wants to get us all connected because I think it is time to update the law. Like, and it's not just for Gypsy, okay? This is for anyone going forward. The times have changed so much that law couldn't even begin to touch what we need to touch,
Right.
It's not the same anymore. Originally it was about media appearances, like book deals, movie deals, all of those things. But now there's so many different ways to monetize and make your money that we need to include social media aspects in this. And I think that we need to move to have all violent criminals removed from all platforms ever.
Definitely.
That should just be the standard. No, you're a convicted violent criminal. Nope, you don't get to be on the platforms. The end. That would solve the problem. At least one problem.
Right.
There are many, but at least one problem would be fixed.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's cute.
So cute. I know. I love, what? That's one of the reasons I do love TikTok. I like watching the little GIFs come up. They're so cute. I know.
Them. YouTube's got them now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's interesting. I've not seen that, but we've only done a couple lives over there in the last few weeks or so.
Yeah, it's fairly new, so.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. All right, well, let me get into this. I'm going to play this. It's only an hour long. I know it's going to take me forever to react to it, and I'm going to stop it 1,000 times, so we may only get through 30 minutes in this session. I don't know. It just depends on how long I want to go. So here we go, because I'm going to tell you what. I have a lot to say.
Oh, I bet.
All right, here we go, guys.
I can't remember if it was a seminar I attended or a book I read, but it was about how law enforcement and news reporters have similar goals, and that got me thinking. Yeah, we both write reports. No, okay, so we both gather information. We both seek facts, try to get to the truth, right? Both interview people, both serve the public, both have to build relationships and harness resources, and both work under deadlines. We do. You work hard to get it right, but at some point, the investigation has to come to an end, and you write that report. What would you name this podcast?
I really have no idea.
Any creative in you?
No, I don't. You're going to have to look at all the other podcasts and stuff that are done and not copy that, because I am sure there is so much done on this case. I have friends in other states, and if we travel and have dinner with somebody new that I meet and they like, I know you. People talk about this case a lot.
Greene County Sheriff Jim Arnott sitting down with me for an exclusive interview.
And now with all the new social media stuff, Gypsy Rose continued, because it's going to always continue until it doesn't. I don't know how she'll end up her career in social media and the media. It probably won't end well. At some point, the newness is going to wear off, and people are going to start to figure things out and make their own decisions.
Yeah, with no help from you. Like, thanks for that, Sheriff. But you didn't help that situation.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yes.
Gypsy Rose continued. You just named it.
There you go.
Sheriff Arnott in Springfield, Missouri leaves for his new role as a U.S. Marshal, appointed by the President. It's quite an honor. Sheriff Arnott has been with the Greene County Sheriff's Office for 37 years, 17 as sheriff. I was a news anchor and breaking news reporter for 26 years in Springfield and covered many sad and heinous cases with him throughout the decades. I've known him for nearly 30 years. And when I asked if he'd sit down with me for an exclusive interview before he heads into the next chapter of his life, he said yes. And I'm sure he was thinking, out of all the stories you want to talk about, you picked Gypsy? Yeah, I get it. I didn't want to pick Gypsy. I fought it hard. But dang it, she doesn't stop. And what is happening can't be ignored. So let's lay down some groundwork here. Sheriff Arnott has seen exactly 2 episodes of the Lifetime show, Life After Lockup. And it sounds like it was against his will. And I'll admit it's 2 more than I've seen. Thank you to creators who have reviewed clips. I feel like I'm all caught up. He has not followed her social media, and she has blocked me on most platforms. Yeah, so he's not up to speed on all of the web of lies creators have uncovered following the release of the videos and documents from his office.
How are you going to sit here and say he's not up to speed on all the lies and the evidence when it's his fucking evidence? Like, she's giving him a pass before he even starts.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Like, what do you mean?
It's his evidence. It's from his office. Like, how do you not know? How did you not know this?
It's all there.
His officers had to have told him about it, right? He didn't look at it, which, okay, if that's the choice, if that's what and that's basically what he basically says in this whole thing is, I don't know about that. What did you know, sir?
Exactly. And, that's what I was thinking. Like, you seem pretty dumb about this when it's your case.
It's your case. It'd be, and of all the ones to talk to me about Gypsy Rose, what other one would you talk to him about?
No shit.
What other one is big in Springfield that got national coverage? Not one.
Right. That's why I'm saying, like, you had plenty of time to go over this throughout all those years.
Yeah. For sure. And he didn't look at it. And that's the frustrating thing. But she's giving him a pass. But, ignorance it reminds me of what they teach you when you're learning how, getting your driver's license. And they tell you that ignorance of the law does not absolve you of having followed the law.
Yep.
Okay. And that's the same thing here. Ignorance does not absolve you of doing your job. You could have been less ignorant. You chose to be ignorant. You are willfully ignorant.
Exactly. Which is what led to what we're dealing with now.
Right. And this is one of the biggest cases in history in this situation. And you're willfully ignorant about your own fucking case. Like, how dumb can you possibly look?
Exactly.
And I get that they have deadlines. I get that they have these things. But really? No,
I know
there wasn't a deadline on getting this done. It should have been done properly, and that's it.
Exactly. It totally wasn't, and it was like you can tell that because the prosecutor was up for like some election that this was just all pushed way out of context.
Yeah. I mean, Dan's run unopposed for many years, and did at the time, but he was catching flack at the time for not investigating child against children. Go figure. But there's no problem in Springfield. There's no sex trafficking ring in Springfield. There's nothing tawdry going on in Springfield, guys. Don't you know that's just things that people make up on the internet that are idiots, okay? That's just idiots making things up. It doesn't exist.
I know. Be so fucking for real.
Be so for fucking real. Like, are you listening to the same thing I'm listening to?
Exactly.
I don't think we are. Are you in my universe? Because I'm not sure we're in the same universe.
Betsy.
Hey, lady, how are you?
I'm fine. Just came from seeing a doctor. And
thank you, New Orleans lady.
Huddling around. But I was going to say that Sheriff Arnott is basically, he's holding his place. He's not going to say anything that will make him or his agency or the police department or the boys in blue look bad. He's not.
Right. No. He's not, and that's the thing. And so I don't know what anybody expected from this. I had hoped that maybe there would be some glimmer of something that I could grab onto and be like, okay, so maybe he didn't say it, but he said it, right? No. That's why he can't come off of the Dee Dee isn't got MVP, because if he comes off of that, then he has to admit that their entire investigation was bullshit, was total bullshit. Because you should have run down those rabbit holes. You should have found out, because that's supposedly the motive. So if that's your motive, if that's the whole thing that the crux of the case is built on, how are you going to pretend to not go down the rabbit hole of the whole case being built on that? You know, you did nothing as far as investigation, in my opinion. Like, you got information, you collected DNA, you grabbed the medical records, you did all of these things, but what did you do with any of it? Nothing. You stuck it in a fucking locker in your hallway and you left it there. That's what you did. You could have done this, right? You could have, but your office chose not to, and I'd sure love to know why. I would just love to know why. Because this is bad.
It was politics.
That's what I think too.
Politics.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm going to keep going here, guys.
Go ahead.
The Freedom of Information Act filed by Into the Weeds podcast. If you go to their YouTube channel, click on More at the top, you'll find the Google Drive that contains everything. I even have sound clips in there from my time as a reporter covering Dee Dee's murder and Nicholas's trial. The public defender and prosecutor.
Became abundantly clear as we went through more and more of the records that, Gypsy's mom was abusing her physically, medically.
Since most of Gypsy's teeth aren't her own because of the medication she was forced to take. Greene County Prosecutor Dan Patterson tells me this drop to second-degree murder and 10-year sentence still holds Gypsy accountable for her actions.
While also taking into account the extreme mitigating circumstances of the nearly 20 years of abuse at the hands of her mother.
That was never proven. Not one time.
I can't cover every backstory in this piece. There's simply too much. I encourage you to go look at this stuff for yourself. Come to your own conclusion. As I've said before, I would start with the interrogation videos. Another thing, his job, Sheriff Arnott, and the job of his investigators was to figure out who murdered Dee Dee Blanchard. Period. Once I really understood that, I was able to put the...
No, not period. Okay? Not period. Because if the reason for crime number 1 is because of crime 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, then crime 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are extremely relevant. And you have to investigate all the crimes, not just the one crime you want to investigate. Your job is to investigate all crime for all victims at all times. Okay?
Well,
and go ahead.
Exactly. The goal is to do the bare minimum. The bare minimum. Blame it on a dead woman, because that's exactly what the department did. It was the mitigating circumstances of Gypsy's case, and that's the reason why she only served a pittance of time in prison. Oh, you're frozen.
And you guys refused to look at that, and you created your own narrative. You're not supposed to do that as investigators at all. Thank you guys. Baby girl, did you get knocked down? No. Okay. I'm not bringing up anybody I don't know today. So life's a beach. I don't know who you are, so I'm not bringing anybody else up, and only people that I know, because I've just had too many problems. But I'm gonna keep going. It just annoys me that everything about this, every mistake, every misstep, whatever, somehow just gets excused and thrown under a rug. And that's why we're here today. That's why the public is angry, because we are clear. We can see clearly there was more to the story, and you refused to do so. You refused to look at the actual evidence, and you just made up whatever you wanted. You went by what a schmurderer told you.
You're absolutely right.
You know?
Because that was the goal. The goal was to discredit Dee Dee's legacy. That was the
Yeah,
goal.
that was the goal. That was the goal, because that's the only way we could make money, you know, right? And
Right.
nobody wants the story about the girl who unalived her mama because she wanted dick.
No.
Nobody gives a shit. No one cares about that story.
So well. That woman go over so.
I don't know if you know, but she came into my live back in 2024. My ex co-host invited her accidentally. Okay. I don't think so, but she came in my live, and I was like, "Oh, Gypsy Rose with the check mark, even." And I go, "You schmurdered your mama for dick, babe. How's that feel? How's that feel?" And it went viral. Like, everybody put it out. They put it to music, everything. Like, so,
oh my God.
But that's the truth. I mean, any way you slice this, it's all about that. It's all about smacks. It's all about smacks. Even if you look in the David and the Dan side of this, it's still about smacks and rugs and tawdry shit. That's what this really is about. And you all framed this as an abuse story because it was easier for you, because it didn't uncover lots and lots of skeletons you don't want to deal with.
The story into perspective a little more. It didn't stop me from asking him a series of questions he had no answers for, but it did make me better see how we got here. Sheriff Arnott sat with me for a long time, and he answered every question he could, and I appreciate that. And one last point we must never forget. At no time did Claudinia Dee Dee Blanchard deserve to be slaughtered in her bed as she slept by someone Gypsy brought to their home.
That part.
Full stop.
That part.
The Toll Podcast. Gypsy Rose continued. It was the Keith Urban concert. She's in her 20s at this point, looking like 12. I went up to her, and I know I was like, "I like your pink boots. Did you make that shirt yourself? Oh, can I take a picture of you with your wheelchair?" No, that's really my only Gypsy story, though. Until the murder. She wrote to and sent videos to Nicholas Godejohn, the man with autism she manipulated for years before getting him to Springfield to stab her mother to death while Dee Dee slept in her bed. Gypsy wrote to him that she was a local celebrity. Yeah? No? Yeah?
I would not classify her as a local celebrity, but both her and her mom did a lot to draw attention to themselves, so I could see where they felt that way.
How are you going to say that? She was at every freaking Make-A-Wish a fundraiser ever. She was at all the fundraisers for the movie theater that would do show movies for a fundraiser for Make-A-Wish. I don't understand how you can sit here and act like she wasn't. She was a local celebrity, and that's part of the problem of all of this. But to deny that it shows the crux of the case, because you didn't handle this properly in the first place. It just makes me so angry. I wish she wasn't a local celebrity, but she was. Everyone knew who she was, and she could move people with her words, which is so hilarious to me, because you have the same people saying that she was so moving and could get up in front of a crowd of people, and she could talk so eloquently and get people to be so passionate. And then you have those same people tell you, but she has the mind of a 7-year-old. You can't have both. You can't say both those statements and them both be true. You can't. You can't.
Gypsy did fly all over the U.S., being a kind of motivational speaker of sorts, attending conferences, getting a lot of attention in certain circles, trips to Disney World, throwing out the first pitch here in Springfield, getting a lot of attention. As the murder investigation unfolded at the house on Volunteer Way north of the Springfield city limits, a woman named Marcia, says she was Gypsy's adopted grandma, told a deputy how amazed she was of this little girl. She wasn't a little girl, by the way. Gypsy was a month away from being 24.
Gypsy, literally is the type of child that just she stands in front of 1,000 people and can give a speech and not scared a bit. You know, she's not fearful.
Right.
And she's friendly. She's polite to everybody.
I asked Sheriff Arnott about those first critical moments of the investigation.
What we really try to do is keep an open mind and not get tunnel vision or narrowly focused on something. So we were keeping everything open until the evidence or the facts that we learned would put us in a different direction.
You were keeping it all open, except that you were refusing to go down the rabbit holes. But how? So you just ignored the facts that you didn't like? I don't understand. Like, we were trying to keep an open mind while creating the narrative that you all know today.
So, you know, we were keeping an open mind up until the point of, as you know, we were actively looking. We were on horseback. We had volunteers everywhere. We have put out lots of media stuff where I was holding press conferences pretty regular to try to get the information out there because, as you know, any type of murder, we need a quick turnaround. And when we had what we thought to be an abduction, also, and maybe a possible another murder, I was very concerned about that. So, being a detective, most of my career time is of the essence, and so we were moving as quick as possible, working straight through trying to figure out the information.
He says it was all hands on deck.
We put everybody into this investigation. It wasn't just one investigator assigned. It was the whole division of investigators, you know, over 20 investigators working on this as fast as we.
They had 20 investigators. Do you know what I could do with 20 people working on this daily as their job? Do you have any idea how much I could fucking accomplish? It's me. It's just me. It's me. It's always just been me. I have a couple little people that I've had here and there, you know, Colleen, Christina, but it's always just been me. Just me. And look what I've accomplished. You said you have 20 people investigating this and you uncovered jack shit. You fucked it all up. Completely. All 20 of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
We can to reach some kind of resolution.
Everyone, it seemed, was locked in as this all unfolded.
You know, the clues come to us in Facebook, and those things started to develop when we started tracking IP addresses and we started checking things because of the mysterious messages that came out on her mom's Facebook page. And that's when everything kind of opened up to us.
That was the big pivotal point.
That was a big...
I'm sorry. What? That's what alerted you to go to the house and begin the investigation in the first place. So yeah, of course it's what what do you mean that's the turning point for you? Were you investigating them beforehand? Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm hitting on something there. I don't know. That one just, what do you mean? Oh, you're at the post office. Okay, no problem. Like that, the Facebook messages, the crazy Facebook messages are what really got us going. No shit, it's what started the whole investigation, you dipshit. Wow. Just wow.
Good point.
Gypsy wrote these.
Yes.
Those Facebook messages posted after the murder, the ones that had friends and family very concerned. They then alerted authorities. One read, "That bitch is dead," and the other, "I fucked her and raped her sweet, innocent daughter. Her scream was so loud. LOL." Arnott says investigators tracked the couple, Gypsy and Nicholas, to Nick's family's home in Wisconsin.
Hey, we've got information. We've got eyes on.
Thank you.
No, nobody in a wheelchair. Everybody walked into the house and have been walking out. That was the that's not right. That's not who we're looking for. I guess we got the wrong person. But then when they made entry, got her in custody, walked her out, and we talked to the detectives like right then. They're like, yeah, she can walk fine. And
I missed that the first time. Holy shit. So you know that all of the wheelchairs that they own by David's own admittance are there in the house, and you were looking for a freaking person in a wheelchair? Like, how? How are you looking for a person in a wheelchair when all the wheelchairs are there? And well, that must be the wrong person then if she's not in a wheelchair. There must be a wrong person. Are you seriously? Like, is this, I feel like I'm in the scene from Sleeping Beauty where the gargoyle, you know, they come back and they're telling her that they were looking for a baby. And she's like, 20 years and you're looking for a baby? Like, that's what I feel like this is. Like, are you kidding me with this? Are you kidding me with this? Just, wow.
This is her for sure. That was a huge thing. Like, what do we have? What have we started to unravel? Because all the information we have from, whether it's news media stories or the neighbors, is she can't walk, she's in a wheelchair, you know, she may have cancer, she may have this problem, that problem, a host of issues. But then we find out medical issues start to unravel where there's really not very many, and then she can walk.
You mother... I got so mad when he said this is when I lost it. Like, I lost it last night. I'm going to lose it right now. You jackass. If you had bothered to look at her medical records in any way, freaking shape or form, asshat, then you would know. No, it's not that she doesn't have the problems. She does. She has all the problems. Every single one of them. She has. You freaking jackass. Oh no, it turned out that there's not a whole lot of them that she has. Really? Did you ask the doctors? Like the real ones? Your 200 pages that you got. Wow. They must have been so insightful. Asshole.
And when we got the information hooking her up with Go to John, and we checked on his history, the history he had, we started to look at that and go, we got something very bizarre here.
His history of an indiscretion involving his computer at a McDonald's. Then information started rolling in.
Once we started putting some of that information out, that is when information started flooding in from everywhere. Louisiana, Missouri, Kansas. That information started coming in on, hey, do you know this? Hey, do you know that? Hey, we had this incident. And that's when it got really complicated. And I want to start off with saying things are not always as they appear.
When you said in that moment, things are not always as they appear, that statement, what did you mean, like, in that moment? What did that mean to you?
You've known me for a long time at press conferences and just talking. I don't speak with a lot of notes. I may have some talking points. But that really wasn't one of them. That was something that I developed when I just started talking. When I initially opened it up, because the issue is everybody thinks, oh my gosh, what happened to Gypsy? She's a victim. And then my thoughts were, things are not always as they appear. You may think that this person's a victim when it's just the absolute opposite. This person's a suspect.
Sheriff Arnott says when people first meet him, many have one main question about this case.
When did you know that she was alive and it was all good? Well, it's when I stepped out of the command post and made an announcement that she was located. I mean, that's when I knew, like then. So they want to know, when did you know that there was something up? Well, I knew that she was alive and I knew that she was walking. And then 5 minutes later, I walked out and gave a press conference to the media.
That part, Jackie. That part.
So, yeah, that's probably the biggest, and then the twists and turns. Everybody's always curious about, were they a hurricane victim? Were they, honestly, I can't tell you. I mean, yes, that places them in that time, but what do you believe and who do you believe? Because most everybody we talked to didn't tell us the truth.
I was at the main press conference back in
I think that was the most truthful thing he says. Not everyone we talked to told us the truth. How about not anyone that you talked to told you the truth? How about that? Could that be it? Could that be it? That's it. Like, Why didn't you call the place where they were logged as being refugees of this? Why didn't you call the Angel flight that got him out of there? Why didn't you talk to the doctor who had him airlifted out? Why didn't you do any of those things? That would have told you whether they were Hurricane Katrina survivors or not. And he's going to bring up in a second about how everybody wanted them to look into the fraud in Louisiana. No. Do you know who wanted him to look into the fraud in Louisiana? You know who was giving him that story? Her motherfucking family was. That's who. The lying family. The ones who had every reason to lie. Okay? And guess what? There wasn't fraud in Louisiana. That's the thing. There wasn't. She went to the doctors. She had real problems. Dee Dee did whatever she did with charities and whatever, which is absolutely 100% what people do that have children that are like this. Unfreaking believable to me that he's going to sit here and be like, well, we couldn't run down every rabbit hole. I mean, we can't run down all the fraud in Louisiana. We don't have jurisdiction over that. No one asked you to do that, except for the people who wanted you to have an alternative story. Oh, my God. I know he's going to get ready to say Dee Dee was a terrible person, and I'm going to lose it again.
Hear me ask a question at one point. I was like, was this guy Nick the mastermind? Turns out no. Just watch any of those dozens of videos Gypsy made Nick to lure him here to kill her mom. The sheriff says he was on to Gypsy from the get-go. The Gypsy we're seeing now is a repeat. It's continued.
What a lot of folks did not see is, I think, probably the level of not caring and, posting the things on her Facebook, which those things that if you were a grieving daughter, you would not be posting. And so to come back out later and say, oh my gosh, I felt so bad that this happened. But at the time and right after, you see videos of her in a hotel room not feeling that way. So that's probably...
It's Sheriff Arnott and Nancy from the Toll podcast. Basically a liar talking to a woman who doesn't want to do any investigating, I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm so frustrated with this. This couldn't have been worse. And it helps their side. And it pisses me off.
The side that a lot of folks did not see and are seeing more of it nowadays, that records are open and people are digging stuff and things are being released. You see a little bit more of that side that you would probably consider when you made a judgment.
Ah, that video from the Days Inn.
Hi. I'm feeling it. He's eating a brownie. But later he will be eating me.
So gross.
But Sheriff Arnott does not disregard the Munchausen by proxy aspect of this case. He believes me when I talk about all that's been uncovered, but his stance remains that Dee Dee kept control over Gypsy and scammed people out of money.
Gosh, there are so many perspectives on that case. I don't know where to start. Some people, there's an element of victimization towards Gypsy Rose, the way that she was manipulated by her mother, and what you'd look as a classic Munchausen syndrome by proxy case with some weird twist to it. So this is how I look at it. In law enforcement, I know generational families that commit the same crimes that grandpa was in, dad was in jail, and now, the son's in jail. And I see the generational things that they pick up and they do the same thing to end up in jail or prison. You have to look at this case pretty much the same way. She has turned into her mom. She is doing the manipulation. She is doing the...
You have no proof whatsoever of Dee Dee doing any of it. None. Not a single stitch of proof that says, yep, Dee Dee did this. You have proof that there was somebody doing something, but you have no definitive proof who it was or what they were doing. You don't know if it was the doctors. You don't know if it was Gypsy. You just don't. You just don't. It just makes me so angry. Like the level of just I can't even get words. Stupidity, ignorance, lack of absolute anything of just what the F? What the F, man? What the F? She turning into her mom. No, she's not turning into her mom. She is who she has always been. That's who she is. You don't get to blame Dee Dee. Okay? Especially as an adult. She made those choices.
Those things. And so, how much of that is she responsible for? How much is that a total influence and manipulation by her mom? You've got to figure that out for yourself, and that's why we have the justice system to make those decisions. That's what juries do, and that's what judges do. So you can just present the information that you have and let that decision be made.
He talks about how the case evolved as his investigators started digging.
I can tell you nothing surprises me anymore. So in this case, when it evolved so quickly into us learning some of the great big things, and then we started learning the smaller things were they in Hurricane Katrina? You know, I know they were in the area, but were they truly a victim, or did they just take advantage of a free ride to Springfield, Missouri to start a new path of lies and destruction? I can't tell you. At one point, I told the investigators, once we got to a point, I said, stop investigating. There is nothing more. We have to work on, we just need to present the murder case. And that's what our case was about.
And back to the Greene County Sheriff's Office with Sheriff Jim Arnott at the top. They had one job: find out who killed Dee Dee Blanchard and turn that over to the prosecutor.
No! Your job isn't to just pigeonhole one thing and prove that one thing. That's not their job. Their job is to investigate all the circumstances of why this happened and all the crimes, as I said before. And once you start seeing other crimes inside of a crime, you have to investigate those crimes and they become part of it. Like, I can't.
We are not doing a mini-series on how big this is, because that's what it would take to dig it all up and uncover it. They also took advantage of Hurricane Katrina and medical records lost and all these
no, they
things.
didn't.
But there is a lot
That's
of
a lie.
to that. There's things
no,
that
there's
couldn't
not
dig up there because records were lost.
No, they weren't.
How far back the manipulation goes, and then who do you believe? Do you believe the dad that just
certainly not the schmurderer
around, and when things ramped up in the media, dad is all involved in it and tells one story? It is hard to disseminate what is truth and what is a lie. But I can tell you,
you had every single one of the Facebook accounts. You had Emma Rose, you had Dee and Jip, you had Mona Loveslave, you had all of them. If you had done, it's no gypsy. If you had done any amount of actually looking into any of that, then you would know that what you just said is a complete and utter lie. Rod was in her life the entire time. They had a great relationship. They talked all the time. Her family lied to you, telling you they hadn't talked to her in years, but they were all over her Facebook. You are a complete and utter failure as a sheriff, in my opinion, and you're not going to be any better of a fucking marshal. Great.
Well, he'll be good at fucking up.
Yeah. we can count on him to do exactly what he does, right? Fuck it up. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. The Facebook, you're right, Kim. The Facebook data tells the story much differently than all the players were involved. Exactly. If you were to follow that, just that, down the rabbit hole, just that, you would know that all the shit that you're trying to pretend didn't have any relevance in the case and that you were just trying to figure out this murder case, you would know that that's a complete and utter crock of shit. You just would. Sorry, you didn't do your jobs. The end, period. Just say that. Just say, you know what? I don't know what happened. We didn't do our jobs properly. We're so sorry. We failed the public. That's all you really needed from this interview. That's what I hoped he was going to say, something along the lines of, yeah, we really missed some things and I'm sorry and we could have done a better job. No, he doubles down on this shit like a freaking gambler at the hour zero, you know. He's all in, man.
Yeah, there is two sides to that, but unfortunately, when you see a very dark side of somebody that's pretty deliberate, in my opinion, you know, You've got to just let somebody else decide that, and that is the judge and the jury's decision to make, whichever direction they go. And it's so complicated of a case because you want to be sensitive to.
It's really not
where she was a victim.
He doesn't want to deal with dark side shit. He wants to deal with the warm and fuzzies.
Like, you're a police officer. Did you forget that that's what you deal with on a daily basis? These people are coming to you on the worst day of their freaking lives. It's not like they're there for chicken. I didn't come in for cupcakes and chicken, okay? I came in because somebody was murdered. Like, you gotta be kidding me with this.
He's a sheriff for finding lost kittens.
Yeah, right? I just... like, oh, just give me a break.
Having your teeth removed and having, to take drugs to where your hair falls out and things like that.
None of that happened, you dipshit.
We believe her mother did do, versus exactly what she planned out with Nick Godejohn and helped execute it and then celebrate it afterwards. So where do you lie in that? Where's the middle ground?
I push back on what happened with her teeth. So, okay, the things that I have seen and the things I've gone through, she has said several times that she drank Pediasure through a bottle as an adult. Her medical records say that she had bad oral hygiene. That was the reason her teeth were rotting out of her mouth. And when Dee Dee took her to the dentist, she was as an adult, right? So she signed for her teeth to get pulled out because they were so bad. And a dentist doesn't just yank all of your teeth out. And so I think I see it differently. I see it as Gypsy's an adult. She's done things that have, progressed her teeth to this condition, and she had to have them pulled. Is that not how you see it? It's so, at this point, it's so speculative. Now you're talking years later.
How is that speculative? You had access to her medical records. You could have gotten all of them. You had subpoena power. You could have had every single... It's speculative? No, it's the facts in motherfucking medical records. How is that speculative? It's speculative all these years later. No, it's not all these years later. You had this. You knew this. And if you didn't, you chose not to. Oh, this man is making, this infuriates me. I'm so sorry. I know I'm getting, I am, speculative.
Newer stories come out and you go, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. But as far as the criminal investigation, it splintered off into so many of those things that is something we got overwhelmed with the directions the case was going. And so obviously we can't prosecute Dee Dee for child abuse. So we don't need to look.
20 investigators were overwhelmed by how many different avenues this went down. 20 investigators. Meanwhile, we're out here doing this all by ourselves, but 20 investigators, they were just overwhelmed. Had they never investigated a case before? I mean, cases are messy. They aren't cut and dry. I don't know. Nobody that you interview in a case is ever going to tell you the truth because they don't want to implicate themselves. I don't know. Hello? McFly, that's your whole damn job.
Look at that. What we need to look at is what took place, what the actions were, what the evidence showed, and then try to gather as much background as possible. But to run down all the rabbit holes was just crazy. I mean, it just became so overwhelming for the investigators.
And I guess another way to look at it, did Dee Dee give her that bottle? Fill it full of Pediasure, buy it for her? I mean, there's so many stories and versions of stories now. But Arnott reiterates, none of that mattered to him.
But it should have.
And it was like, what do you want us to follow up on? What direction should we go? And at one point, like I said, we just said, we need to stop. I mean, it's none of those investigations, although it's fraudulent behavior, it's, obviously lying and taking money from places that didn't need to give money, but there was no money to give back. So it's not like we're going to be able to award anybody any money back. And Dee Dee, who was probably the most guilty of those things, is gone. And then we have Gypsy. You know, how much do you dig? Now, the investigators will tell you, after maybe watching some of the episodes and miniseries she's come up with, that, you know, they can't believe how far it's gone. Could we probably go back and disprove a lot of stories that are coming out now? Probably so. But what does it do? Our part is over. You know, she went to prison and did time, and
your part wasn't done properly. That's the problem. Okay? Because you literally just sat there and said that you couldn't go down and prosecute Dee Dee for child abuse. So what did it matter? Because if it wasn't child abuse, then the narrative that you've been told as to why this happened is complete bullshit. And if that falls apart, then what else is complete bullshit? Everything. What in the F, man? What in the F?
Go to John is still there, so we did our part on the investigation.
No, you didn't.
As you know, this story is so much bigger, and it's not always as it appears.
Sheriff Arnott says his investigators spent about a year looking over this case.
I think we were pretty much complete when the plea deal was made. That was something that we are really not in the loop on that. You know, that is something the prosecutor will work out with the victim and families and that kind of deal. So that was a decision by the prosecutor. Understandably, why? But because the main perpetrator is, well, it depends on how you look at it. But Nick Godejohn was the one that actually committed the physical murder. So
then can I ask you why in every other case of this where it's murder for hire, essentially, why most of the times that the person that did the planning and the hiring of the murder for hire is do more time than the actual person who did the kink? Can you explain that to me, Mr. Arnott? Do you even understand? What do you mean you did your job? What do you mean? No, you didn't. A schmurderer is running around here. A psychotic schmurderer is running around here free. A serial fucking fraudster, a con artist, and you didn't do any of it. You could have charged her with all of it. You could have thrown the book at her like they did with Murdaugh. Okay? You could have done all of that. And you chose not to because he's just a little girl who mama abused me and I didn't have no friends and I couldn't go nowhere and I was a prisoner in my own home. No, she wasn't. No. He doesn't deserve to be a marshal. No, for sure doesn't. For sure doesn't.
I can see why that the prosecutor made a deal.
I don't.
I'm by no means a gypsy expert. There are content creators who have spent years uncovering stories, bringing stuff to light, getting cozy with the family and obtaining documents, revealing so many lies. And there's more and more every day. I can recognize there are not endless resources, time, manpower, and money for the sheriff's office to spend on one case when the killers are known. At some point, you have to write that report and turn it over. And I've swayed back and forth on what I believe and what the real story might be here. I've been, oh, poor Gypsy. I've been, whoa, Gypsy was in charge. Wait, we don't know what happened behind closed doors in that house. To now, back to taking a hard look at Dee Dee and her undeniable role in this mess. Dee Dee had fatal flaws when it comes.
Can you tell me what those are? What's the undeniable role in this mess? What's the undeniable role? Is it that she spoiled rotten a fucking lying con artist her whole life? Is that what it is? Because that's her crime. That's Dee Dee's real crime. Okay? That she played into and coddled and created this girl with no accountability. That's Dee Dee's real role in all of this. That she never held Gypsy accountable either. And she paid for it with her life. Sadly. That one time she tried to hold her accountable.
To Gypsy, knowing Gypsy was stealing her meds, her money, not holding her accountable. Instead of calling police when Gypsy shot her several times with a pellet gun in their house, she posted on Facebook that she'd been shot by a man on the Walmart parking lot. Her note, I have the best little nurse, Jip. It appears Dee Dee was pretty sick at the end, although the neighbor didn't notice any extreme changes. In a message to her friend, Gypsy writes that Dee Dee is suffering from diabetes, glaucoma, liver disease, and Parkinson's. In a video to Nick, Gypsy expresses her frustration that her mother isn't going to help them with rent, how they need a house, a car, and money. Searches on Dee Dee's computer at this time show she planned to kick Gypsy out. It may have answered the big bags of what appear to be clothes in the crime scene photos, and it appears she turned a blind eye to Gypsy's own plan of murder. There's a video from Gypsy to Nick where she shows him she can walk,
give those heart beats.
And she's hid it from everyone, including her mom, until 2011, 4 years before the murder. It's in her book, too. But who says Gypsy was keeping the secret from her mother? Gypsy? We don't believe Gypsy about hardly anything else, so why this? I see pictures of Gypsy, her legs tucked up under her in the wheelchair. There's a video where she flops off the porch into the snow. Her legs. It looks like they move.
No shit, really?
Our force into the pile of snow. You ready? Yeah!
That feels weird to me. It always has. There's a picture where she's messing with Easter eggs, but her butt is on the floor, knees up to her chin. She's kneeling, clearly using her legs. What is true? This is his point.
Yeah, here's the deal. The bottom line is Dee Dee was murdered and didn't deserve to be murdered. No matter what, nobody deserves to be murdered. You know, we owe as Monday morning quarterback what we did, and I think we did a good job. I think the community would have liked to know more.
He thinks he did a good job, folks.
Part of this.
Of course, he did the bare minimum, so of course he did a good job in his eyes.
Let's give him a round of applause for the good job he did.
Awesome.
Pat him on the back. He couldn't pat himself on the back hard enough with that one.
God bless.
Now you understand why I was so freaking incensed.
No, I understand. No, I totally get it. I get it.
Livid. Oh my God. And it's like, I know that as a person asking the questions that there's a fine line you have to walk because you want to continue your you want to continue your interview, right? So you can't piss them off 5 seconds in. They're not going to give you anything after that. But she's got a relationship with this guy for, however many years she was in the media. Okay.
Oh, so it's personal.
Yeah. He said it. He goes, you know me really well. You've known me a long time because, she's in that area. She was reporting on the case. You can hear her at the press conference. She asks a question. So she's known him all these years.
Okay.
I think that Nancy did her best, but I just feel like she didn't want to rock the boat again. That's what all these people are. They don't want to rock boats. I don't give a shit. I'll flip all the boats. I'll put a fucking tidal wave in the harbor in 5 seconds. Okay. I don't have a problem. So it's just, I feel like she didn't want to push back because she didn't want to ruin what they've had all these years.
Right. Their camaraderie.
And I still don't understand the reason why she edited this. I really don't understand. When I interviewed Kay Hughes, the officer, one of the responding officers, I put it out in its entirety because I didn't want to be accused of any way, shape, or form altering it so that I got my narrative that I wanted out there. I wish this had gone so differently, but sadly it didn't, and it never will. It is.
I mean, I wonder, why is it that she didn't push back on times where he's blatantly blaming Dee Dee? Like you said it right. That, basically Dee Dee's fault is that she gave Gypsy what she said has made her a spoiled little girl.
Yeah.
Okay? That I can agree with.
Yeah.
It just basically pandered to her demands.
She created her own schmurderer. We got it right from the beginning. Schmurder by design. She did. but it's not her fault. She was doing what she thought was the best thing she could do for a child that she thought her entire life was dying. Okay?
Yeah, and basically didn't she do what her mother did to her? Basically spoil her and make her
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They accuse Emma of some of the same things, like, oh, well, Emma did it with Dee. No, okay, the same situation. It is the same situation in the way that if you look at it from, there isn't abuse, okay? If you throw that part out and you look at the history of how Emma treated Dee Dee and how Dee Dee treated Gypsy, yeah, that's absolutely the same, because the situation was the same. Dee Dee was a sick little girl. She had problems. She did have things that were wrong with her. She still had things that were wrong with her as an adult, you know. She was not a healthy woman. She wasn't all the you know, so yeah, she was coddled. She couldn't do things. It was not abuse in either situation. It was more coddling and giving preferential treatment and making excuses for bad behavior. Emma made the same excuses for Dee Dee when she was little. Dee Dee did mean things. I mean, all kids do to their siblings. Okay, yeah, like according to them, but then again, I can't believe any of their stories. But like they talk about how she threw one time they were having a birthday party or whatever, and she was mad because the one of the sisters was getting all the attention or whatever. So she went in her room and she threw Kool-Aid all over one of her pageant dresses and showed her mommy that they did this to her, and they all got in trouble. So I mean, but do I believe that story? I don't know. I don't know. Because they're so hateful and they've lied so much about their sister. How can I even take that? But I do believe that Dee Dee did receive preferential treatment from Emma. I do. And from Claude even. Because she did get all the things. But at the time that she was a teenager getting things, they had money. They didn't have money when they were living in Brazil with 9 kids, okay? Not 9 kids, but you know what I mean. They
had a lot of children.
They had a lot of kids, and he was not a boat captain when those children were born. You know, he wasn't that until Gypsy was, you know, or Dee Dee was much older. So of course, my child, you know, you always talk about the firstborn kid gets it the hardest, right? Because you're new, you don't know what you're doing. Usually you don't have all the money in the world. By the time that you have your 3rd or 4th kid, like with my 3rd child, we gave her anything she wanted because we didn't have the problems we had when we had the first 2. You know, we were more established. We had more money.
My second son's a spoiled brat.
Right.
My second son is a spoiled brat, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, you know, it is how it goes in life. And so Dee Dee reaped the benefits. Is that Dee Dee's fault though? No, it's not. And to use that as the crux of like, well, Gypsy, you know, Dee Dee was just doing what Emma did to her. So it's that. No, not in the way that you're making it seem. That's the thing. Not in that way. And they even had to come out and make Emma look bad. Like they had to put out there that, oh, her mama used to bounce checks. Her mama da-da-da-da-da. Claude, why was your wife bouncing checks? Maybe because you didn't have enough groceries to put on the table for your children? Could it be that? It could be that. Could be. Like, why'd your wife's mother put her in the hospital for postpartum depression and tell them that it was okay for them to do a lobotomy on her? You know, there's that. This is how this family deals with shit.
Oh, damn. Lobotomy, seriously?
Yeah. No, seriously. It's in the documents. Wow. I put it out. Yeah. Emma was, after she had her first 2 children, so she had 2 under 2. Okay, 2 under 2. She's like 20 years old, right? And she had a mental breakdown and what we would call today postpartum blues. Okay. Her mother, while Claude was out on a boat, so Claude wasn't around, so he couldn't do anything. Her mother, Emma's mom, had her committed, and they checked off. There was no evidence, literally nothing. Okay, there is nothing. There's all supposed to be all these things that they fill out to tell you why they're putting you in the hospital and why they're asking for all of this and da 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 da. Wow. None of that's filled out. But if you scroll all the way down, it literally, the box checked for lobotomy is checked. I mean, it talks about how frontal lobe, whatever, but it's basically the lobotomy. So postpartum depression in their family is reason for a lobotomy. Okay.
Wow.
I'm blown away. Sense?
I'm speechless.
You don't know what a lobotomy is, Nani? It's where they go in and they remove a portion of your brain.
Yep.
A lobotomy.
That's what's ailing you.
That's what's ailing you is the portion of your brain. So they're going to take out a portion of your fucking brain. They don't perform lobotomies anymore, okay, thankfully. But it was very popular during that period of time, during the mental institution asylum time where women were considered hysterical for having feelings and thoughts. Okay? That's how this family deals with problem people. They get rid of them. Do you get that? They get rid of their problem people. And if you don't fall in line, we're going to find a way to get rid of you. There you go.
So have they gotten rid of Gypsy yet? Have they gotten rid of her?
Well, no, because she makes some money.
Well, money is always a contributing factor that keeps someone around.
Yeah. It's good. And that's what I think. Yeah, exactly. And I think Dee Dee became useless to all of them, and that's part of the reason. She was no longer able to do anything that they needed her to do. And I think she was going to turn them all in. That's my opinion. I really do believe she was going to turn them in. I think she had seen enough, and she was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And it just really, wow. When I saw that paper, I about came through the roof. Like, I could not believe that these people, postpartum depression became, just give her a lobotomy. She'll be fine. Yeah,
that's
it's
crazy,
shocking.
but it's not surprising. People would think.
What'd you say, hun?
I said it's not surprising. It just shows you what people think.
Yeah.
It shows you their mentality. Just remove this, just do this, just do that. But when Gypsy needed the medical treatment, oh no, they got a problem now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they got a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
There's things wrong with that girl. There's things seriously wrong with her.
There's things seriously wrong with all of them, in my opinion. This whole family on both sides is just foobarred all the way up. Like, I don't blame Dee Dee for running as far away from them as possible. I mean, they're the most toxic people I've ever seen. And I've seen some toxic people, okay?
Oh, I got some in my family.
I got some toxic people in my family on both sides. And man, they don't hold a candle to these people. Like, wow. They might as well be made saints comparatively. All right. We're almost halfway through.
Sorry about that. A little diatribe.
Clearer information than we can dig up now, but it didn't make sense for the case. The case was a murder, and her and Nick Godejohn were both charged. It's just hard.
That's like saying the people went in to rob the convenience store, and in the robbing of the convenience store, they murdered the cashier, but it wasn't important for us to investigate the robbing of the convenience store. But the robbing of the convenience store is the whole reason why the other person is dead. So it would really? Okay.
To look at that and decide, should you have gone down those rabbit holes? I don't think so. I think we did the proper thing, but
standing beside himself
for her, what she calls celebrity status now,
pat himself again.
There doesn't seem to be justice done, because we all kind of know the truth behind her motivation, and that's fame and fortune.
We talked about Nick being manipulated by Gypsy.
Yeah, he was definitely manipulated, of course. You'd be foolish to say anything different, but he was a willing participant. He did it for love, as I think is his claim. Gosh, that guy has some problems too. It's the two of them getting together was not a good thing.
I asked him how does he feel about Nicholas Godejohn getting life and Gypsy Rose Blanchard getting 10 years.
I don't not support that deal. Everybody has their opinion on who's as guilty as the other, and I understand the prosecutor was doing what's best for the case.
What do you mean he was doing what was best for the case? The normal reason for giving a plea deal when you have two co-conspirators or more is so you can get the one conspirator to turn on the other conspirator. That's the whole reason prosecutors give plea deals in this type of situation. They didn't need her to testify. She testified for the defense. So what do you mean you did the best thing for the case? You did the best thing for what case? Because if you'd taken the case to trial and not gone through this, then there wouldn't be a psychotic murderer running around conning people today with a baby on her hip.
Exactly.
You did what was best for the case? What case?
Yep.
Unfucking
He can't say any different, Fancy. He can't say any different. He has to toe the fucking line. That is what he's doing.
But I mean, it just to me, this is such a waste of time. Like, this is such a waste. He didn't say anything in this that anybody could even remotely, like.
Yeah.
I don't. It's such a waste.
Yeah,
he makes me so mad to just justify it all over again. It's just a slap in the face to what people know is the truth. What he knows is the truth. He knows what the truth is. He knows where he lives. He knows what kind of dirty, shitty shit goes on in his town. He knows. He's the sheriff, for crying out loud. He knows what everything is. And if he doesn't, then he's a really shitty sheriff. Okay?
Well, he got a promotion. The president has anointed him.
Anointed him as a U.S. Marshal.
U.S. Marshal.
Just 1 second, because she made that seem bigger than it was, I think.
Google it, girl. Google it.
What is it? What is it? Not approved. Appointed.
Appointed. I said anointed because that's what it's more like.
It is. No, it is. No, only the 94 Senate confirmed United States Marshals are appointed by the president. There are approximately 3,892 deputy U.S. Marshals who serve as the permanent career law enforcement backbone of the agencies. These deputies are hired through competitive civil service and not presidential appointees. There is one U.S. Marshal appointed for each of the 94 federal judicial districts across the country. They are nominated by the president and must be confirmed by the U.S. Senate to serve 4-year time. So he's not just going to be just a regular ass marshal. He is the marshal in charge of that district.
Oh, damn.
And we've been saying the corruption goes very deep.
Right. So you gave him more rope. So basically, the president has given him more rope. Wonderful.
Right. Wonderful. Great. Thanks, Trump. You're doing a great job.
Well, yeah. You see.
Look, I don't think either side is right. I don't. And I lean more towards, what he's doing is helpful than anything else. But I just, right is right and wrong is wrong. And this guy does not deserve to be a marshal over anything if he can't run one fucking investigation properly. If you can't look at your CSI and go, excuse me, I have this measurement here from the bottom of the bed to the freaking wall, and then you gave me another measurement from the top of the bed to the freaking wall for the same piece of evidence. Which one is it, dude? If you can't do that, you don't deserve to be a fucking marshal of anything. Like, wow. Yep, you're right. Supporting a lie can get you a huge raise. And they want him because he follows orders. Yep, exactly.
And to get a conviction, and I don't disagree with it. Would I like to have seen Gypsy go away for a lot longer than she did? Because I think she was more culpable than what her plea deal was, of course. But a lot of that is after the fact, after you see her come out and do the things that
No, it wasn't.
Most people now are really intrigued with her thinking, but then can also watch a few episodes of whatever show that she's on, and she contradicts herself throughout the whole thing. So if you're any type of investigator at all, you go, she's lying.
I explained to him about how I feel Dee Dee was manipulated by Gypsy on many levels. And I tell him about that video where she shows Nick that she's been lying about being able to walk, even lying to her mother.
It's because of her behavior since she's left prison.
That's what annoyed me about Nancy. That statement right there. I told him about the video where she's telling him. I told him about it. Hello? We got it from his office. His investigators saw it. Do you know there was an investigator who sat there and had to detail and watch every one of those 115 freaking videos? There's a list of it. He had to detail what every single one of those were. So you're telling me you didn't know? You didn't know. Oh, he admitted he hasn't watched them. Well, okay, but your investigators did. Maybe you should have listened to what your investigators were telling you. I
don't know. That we've been able to see in the media has really driven a lot of people the other direction, just like you, and said, wow, there's a lot of manipulation here, and there's a lot of not truth. And when you look at some of those things, you know, in her history with what she's saying now, you think, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But unfortunately, we don't have Dee Dee here to ask those questions. And, you know, they kept to themselves when it came to sharing their secrets. They were pretty good about keeping things between the two of them. I don't know if that was purposely. I'm assuming it's purposely kept people out from knowing the actual truth.
I agree, Patrice. I agree.
Oh, yes. Her appearance on talk shows, going on podcasts, the Dr. Phil show, Mommy, Dad, and Dearest, her show on Lifetime, her book. So many stories filled with lies that are easy to disprove now that we can see all of these videos, these private Facebook messages, computer searches, GPS coordinates. It's truly wild how much was a lie.
Looking back at it,
they covered up.
Watch everything. Should she have got more time? I think everybody thinks that. What's a little bit odd is you think, oh, you spend, you know, you get a 10-year sentence, you spend several years in prison, and maybe that gives you time to reflect and get counseling and understand. But if you watch any of those shows, you know that none of that took place.
Nope,
and
sure didn't.
That's when you go.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, she probably definitely should have done more time.
It should have been compulsory part of her parole, and she would have had all that done beforehand.
It should have. It should have. And if you remember, that's her little statement when she comes out for is it Lifetime Confessions? It's not the one that, it's not the Lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Everything that I did in these 8 years was for one thing: parole.
So every class she took, every you know, trying to get her GED, all that wasn't for bettering herself. It was for one thing and one thing only.
Wasn't her daddy and Christy out there on Facebook posts and trying to get people, you know, to give their opinion or something, like a poll or something about getting early parole?
I'm the one that helped him with that.
Oh shit, Fancy.
I didn't know at the time.
I know you did.
I'm the one who got In Touch magazine to cover the stupid petition that her father put out there.
Oh,
otherwise no one would have ever even known it existed.
Perhaps you'd still be in prison, Fancy.
No, she wouldn't, because, I mean, it wouldn't have changed her sentence, but, you know, they were going to grant her parole regardless. If it's your first offense and you don't have anything else major while you're in there, you do 85% of your time and you're out. That's it. That's just, the prisons are too overcrowded to hold you any longer than that, you know? She was going to get it out. They knew when she was going to get out the whole time. That's the thing. Like, they knew it. They'd already been told. She went before the board because you have to go through the board, but they were going to grant that no matter what, unless she went in there and was a complete psychopath. But I mean, what would it have done? It would have only given them 2 more years. You know, it wouldn't have done anything good. No, he does. He contradicts himself through the whole thing. It's just him explaining why they did shoddy police work. That's what this whole thing is, and it's just disgusting. It is the justification of the actions. Like, you know, it just is very frustrating, because that fraud that you didn't want to investigate, those rabbit holes that you didn't want to go down, would have proved to the prosecuting attorney that the mitigating circumstances that created the plea deal were false. And all of that would have been presented before a jury and she would have got life. But you didn't do your job. You didn't do your job.
The shows to watch and stuff before he got to make his decision. I'm sure he'd be influenced in a different way too, just like we all are now.
I asked him about Gypsy's microdeletion diagnosis. It's very rare, 1Q21.1. When doctors discovered it, it answered almost everything. All of Gypsy's medical problems could be attributed to this chromosomal deletion. Did his investigators know much about it as they worked the case?
I don't know where that came in, when that information came in. It's been so long I can't remember when that was known. Do you know?
2011.
So no. That's not what he's saying.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what she takes it as he's saying. That's what you're taking. That's not what he's saying. It's really freaking hilarious to me that he's saying this, because he's asking her, well, do you know when that became known? What do you mean, do you know when that became known? You knew the entire time because it was in all of your investigation, inside the text messages between Aaliyah and her. David Blanchard told you she had a chromosome disorder. What did you not understand about that? Did you just not pay any attention? Did you? Like, are you serious? When did this come into play? It came into play from the second you guys got the investigation. Aaliyah stood there and told you. Freaking David told him in the car the day of. Oh, she's got all these fucking medical problems. What do you mean, when did it come into play? Why are you asking some podcaster when it came into play? Don't you know your own fucking case? She answers
he doesn't, obviously.
2011. But still, then you should have known. What do you mean, when did that come into play? So are you trying to justify everything before that as Gypsy, as Dee Dee just being, as being a con artist, but in 2011 it all changed because we found out it was true? What the fuck is this statement?
You're right.
Unbelievable. Fucking believable.
It chaps my ass to hear him say that.
1Q21.1 in 2008, and then she was officially diagnosed in 2011.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what records we had at that time, and if that is something that the prosecutor had reviewed versus us.
Okay, get the fuck out of here with that.
You've got how many people telling you that Dee Dee said that she had a chromosome deletion, and you didn't know whether or not that part was in the 200 freaking medical records you obtained? Why did you only get 200 medical records? Not even 200. I think it's 137 pages, something like that, around there. Why did you only get 100 and some odd pages? Whose pages did you get? Is it just Dr. Steele's pages? Did you look at the neurologist pages? Did you go to any of her specialist pages?
That's too much work.
From any of them? No, that's too much work. We couldn't be bothered to do that. There's too many rabbit holes to go down. I mean, what are you even asking right now, Fancy? I mean, Jesus, you mean you wanted us to do actual work? Oh, well, no, thank you. I know if I showed up to my job and did it this shittily, I wouldn't have a job tomorrow,
Because it would have answered why Dee Dee was taking her to the hospital so much. Do you know if Gypsy's medical records were reviewed by professionals outside the defense team?
I don't, to be quite honest. I am sure the prosecutor, every time we've had a case with medical records, he has somebody review it. That's...
No, not in this case, he didn't. Nope. Didn't have anybody do it. Nope. Didn't even look at him.
Remember, he had investigators getting into the details of the case, and it's been over a decade. We also know from Rod, the dad, in the Mommy, Dead, and Dearest HBO show and messages, that they knew about the microdeletion diagnosis then. And Gypsy wrote to her neighbor friend about it. It explained why Gypsy was so sick. For real sick. Her mother taking her to doctors, working to figure out why she had failure to thrive. That was real. And when I get here, I think about what the sheriff's investigators found as they started to dig into the case. A police report from October 2009. Gypsy was 18. Dee Dee's name is spelled Claudine, Clauddine, not Claudinia. And Blanchard has no E on this report. The investigator writes that he was dispatched to Volunteer Way, Dee Dee and Gypsy's Habitat for Humanity house, to meet with DFS, Family Services, about a child at that location. There was a mother and child at the house with DFS, saying the mother claimed her daughter is paralyzed from the waist down, has MS, cancer, and other medical issues.
I'll be right back.
A hotline call was made from the hospital, with the doctor concerned that he couldn't find these symptoms that would support what the mother alleged about her daughter. It goes on to say the hospital was concerned about inconsistent birth dates and lack of medical diagnosis. We know the mother and daughter consistently used a younger birth date for Gypsy. DFS wanted to make sure Gypsy wasn't a runaway or a missing kid. Dee Dee told them they were Hurricane Katrina survivors, and that's how they got to Springfield, Missouri. As far as all the inconsistencies, Dee Dee says she didn't know how that happened. She then said she had a marriage that ended in divorce and feared her ex-husband. Went on to say she changed her daughter's information at the hospital so her ex wouldn't find them. Deputies ran them through the system and discovered Gypsy was an adult, 18, and, quote, does suffer from some type of mental handicap.
Okay, so I want to say something about that for a minute. I do believe part of that story. I don't know what part of it Dee Dee actually said and did, because we don't know, okay? This is just all secondhand hearsay information at this point, that Dee Dee said that she, Rod was abusive or whatever, and that's why she changed the name and everything. We don't have any concrete proof of that other than people saying it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, Patrice. But here's the deal. He was a violent person. He got in bar fights, domestic fights. And I think that there is some truth to that, because even Gypsy talks about it with Nick, telling him that he would, he would beat her mom, he would come and he would leave, and he would then cheat on her mom, and then he'd come back, and then he would cheat on her some more, and then he'd come back. And I believe all of that. 100%. So did Dee Dee maybe change it one time with Dr. Beckerman because of that? Maybe she did. Or maybe these doctors are shady as fuck and they did it themselves. Who knows? I don't know why, but I do know that she gave the correct information to the people that needed the correct information, and that's the pharmacy and Medicaid. So if the fraud is only at the hospital level, then you have to question what was going on at the hospital. Because right after this doctor makes this phone call, does he stop seeing them? No. Does he, he questions her. He says, oh, I took her in another room and I told Dee Dee that I was the one that called. I don't believe that happened at all, because if you were the one that called, Dee Dee would have never, ever brought her daughter back to you, in my opinion. Okay. But no, that's not what happens. What happens when you're caught? And this is why I believe he made the CPS call. It's why I believe that they got in trouble in that period in time, and I think he was covering his ass. So he made the CPS call to cover his ass, because you're the one who sent her to the muscular dystrophy clinic for years. You, Dr. Steele, you signed off on that, and they gave you the reports every time about how she is doing this and how she's doing that. So she was diagnosed with it, and it was real. It was. It's just that it was actually, it mimics the actual symptoms of the 1Q2 1.1. So they were calling it muscular dystrophy because they didn't have any other label for it. They didn't have anything else to label that. But as soon as all that goes down and they find out that Gypsy's 18 years old, okay, he finds out that Gypsy's 18 years old. He gets caught up with the hospital because the anesthesiologist in 2009 is the one who said, I'm not doing this unless there's guardianship papers. What does he do? What do Beckerman and him do? Dr. Steele and Dr. Beckerman then move her care from Springfield to Kansas City, and they start all over again. They start all over again. They're the ones that are telling them she's underage. Yeah.
I'm over here losing my shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they do. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Beckerman and Steele moved her care from Springfield to Kansas City, and then began telling the specialists again that she was underage. Them.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
That's why Gypsy didn't sue no doctors.
Because they were in on it.
Oh, fuck.
Allegedly, in my opinion, for entertainment educational purposes only, but the medical records don't fucking lie. Okay? That's what happened. He got caught. They realized that there was an error in their system, not in the Medicaid system, not in the pharmacy system, and they began to look at Mr. Steele and Mr. Beckerman like, hey, what the fuck is going on in your files here with this girl that is under your care constantly? Because they were her two primaries. So he calls up CPS. CPS goes out there, does their little check. He gets the information back, and then he moves her care and still continues to see her for another 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 6 years. Pretending that she's underage again. Knowing that just by his own timeline of the bullshit that she's this age at this time, she can't possibly still be underage. Same thing with David and Kim telling the police that she was 14 years old in the beginning. She was 14. Well, then he comes back and says, oh, she's 19. We knew she was 18 or 19. Then why'd you tell law enforcement in the very beginning that she was 14 years old? So that Amber Alert would go out. That's why. That's why. You knew she wasn't 14 years old by your own calculation. If you met her when she was 12 and she lived in that house for 7 years, she can't be 14. The math doesn't lie. By your own stupidity.
Fancy, some people just can't count.
I guess. I mean, you would expect doctors to be able to count. Well, Patrice, she did tell people she was possessed by a demon. So you're right. She's kind of weird. And I'm not saying she wasn't. She might have been possessed by a demon. But she wanted that shit. So that's weird. It's very weird. I don't know you, but I don't want to be possessed by a demon. Do you want to be possessed by a demon, Hinnon? Because I don't want to be possessed by a demon.
No, I'll be like, get back, demons. I want to be possessed by no damn demons.
I don't want to be possessed by no demons.
I pull out my wand and it repels
Bazibula or whatever. Bahibula or whatever that is. Bazibula.
Scene was clear.
Oh my God.
I wonder how Gypsy was.
No, I don't want to be possessed by no demons.
Anyway, it reminds me of after the murder, the woman named Marcia was questioned by authorities.
But Gypsy's a poltergeist.
She told her grandma. She said she watched Gypsy sometimes, like when Dee Dee had sleep studies done, and how Gypsy acted 8 or 9. But we know she was a full-ass adult.
She's 8, 9, mentality-wise. Age-wise, different.
Right.
But mentality-wise, most polite child you've ever met in your life. Boy, we could use more of them.
No kidding.
No. No more of that, please. I wonder what detectives thought as they heard Gypsy while she was in the interrogation room talking to an officer in Wisconsin about her 3-week trip to Disney, eating too much sugar, and running up and down Main Street.
3 weeks.
Dance.
3 weeks.
With Prince Charming and Cinderella.
Really?
That was really fun. My mom and I got the Disney dining plan, which is
I didn't realize it was 3 weeks though.
a human being.
I didn't either. 3 freaking weeks. I mean, we went for a week and a half. That was expensive as fuck. Back in, my oldest daughter's 20. Back when she was 6, so, long time ago. And it cost us well over 10 grand. It took our entire tax return that year and went.
What?
And we didn't pay for our hotel. So 3 weeks. 3 freaking weeks. Because my friend had a timeshare, so she gave us the timeshare, so we didn't have to pay for the hotel, but everything else cost us well over $10,000 to eat, to buy souvenirs, to the park admissions, and everything. The park admissions and everything, yeah, for a family of 4, family of 5, So I mean, the Disney, and we didn't do Disney dining plan because it was just too expensive. We ate outside the park. We had our breakfast before we went to the park. We would go outside of the park to go have lunch, and then we would come back to the car and only do dinner at the park. We would do some snacks and some dinner at the park, and that was it, because we just couldn't afford to eat there. It's too expensive. It's outrageous. And that meal plan is like $3,000 a person.
Right.
It's outrageous. Yeah, for 3 weeks even, that's even more. Like, can you
What do
imagine?
you even do there for 3 weeks? What do you do
How do you
there
do that? What do you do it? Yeah, exactly. Even in Florida, there ain't enough to do for 3 freaking weeks. I mean, what is that? You go to the park for half an hour and then you leave? Like, I don't. Oh, she was only eating the royal mashed potatoes. You're right.
It's reminding me of the movie. It reminded me of the documentary that I showed like last week called "The Mom of All Cons."
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet, but it's on my list.
I showed that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you need to see that.
Yeah.
For sure. You need to see it.
And I don't care which side you sit on, but anybody who wants to sit up here and pretend that she couldn't fake an entire pregnancy and all of that, you need to go watch the other Netflix special. I can't think of the name of it right now. But it's the Taylor Parkers from Maternal Instinct. That's what it is, Maternal Instinct on HBO. She fakes an entire pregnancy and then she unalives a woman and steals her baby. Yeah. So miss me with the fact that somebody can't make this shit up because people do all the time. I don't know which side anybody stands on. I don't really care. I baby, no baby. I think whatever baby is there is in danger. Okay. But yeah. And the baby dies. Yeah. Yep.
Can I eat this much food? Too much food? And we went and ate at Chef Mickey's. I had way too much sugar.
But she's allergic to it.
They try to pump you with sugar. Mm-hmm. By the end of the night, it was closing time. I was so filled with sugar that I was dancing up and down Main Street at Magic Kingdom.
I think about investigators finding another report, this one from August 2010. A Domino's pizza worker was delivering a pizza to Dee Dee. The spelling on her name, again, different. Claudinia, this time Blanchard with an E. Anyway, the worker says he delivered a pizza. Dee Dee tried to use a gift certificate from an out-of-state franchise. Driver said no, went to leave with the pizza, and she grabbed his shirt collar from behind and left red marks on his neck. The driver told authorities they'd had problems with her in the past, far cry from how she's described by others, like former neighbor Dominique. She described Dee Dee and Gypsy as super bubbly all the time.
Have you heard that story before, Hidden? About the pizza guy?
Yeah. I watched that episode. I think it was called Poison Control.
Mm-hmm.
The Toll Podcast Poison Control.
Yeah.
I think it was the first episode. Mm-hmm. I did watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
So
I don't know. I think about it. But
because I don't think that we have the story. I don't think that's the truthful story. I don't think it was over a coupon. I really don't. I think it had something to do
that's
with...
on the police report. Have you seen the police report?
I have the police report, but that's just what they told them. It's not what, I don't know. I don't know what kind of story they gave because I don't believe it's about a coupon. I just don't. I think that there had been something between young lady and young pizza boy. That's my opinion.
Oh, damn it. Wow. And they had, I'm just surprised.
And them saying that that they'd had problems with her before. Were those problems that you were doing her daughter? Was that the problem? Was the problem that she found you doing something with her kid when you weren't supposed to? Like,
because she wanted to do everything.
She wanted to do what? You cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
Listen, Gypsy want to do anything and everything that moves.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. How old was the pizza guy? I don't know. I'd have to look at it again.
For the palace. That's a good question.
Who's that pizza guy?
Yeah,
and
Mr.
what really
Pizza
happened?
Guy. Let me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. That's what I want to know.
Because we all know what pizza means these days. So there's that.
Kind of fake. Even when Gypsy looked so sick, like she was going to die,
Patrice.
Always smiling, happy.
Oh, yeah. What I could see, at least what they showed to me. I mean, again, I wasn't as close as these other people were. But what I saw, something never seemed like real. They didn't seem very real. It seemed like they were all in their own world, their own make-believe world of Disney and Marvel and all the pretend. But Dominique also talks about walking up to the house, hearing the two yelling at each other. I remember knocking on their door for some reason I don't remember, and Dee Dee barely cracked it open and had her robe on, but it was like maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Keep tapping, guys. Keep tapping.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. I just can't. I'm sick today, and come back another day." But it was weird because I heard a bunch of yelling outside, so I think that's the reason. I just know that I went there. I was on my way there, and I heard a bunch of yelling, and so it just didn't make sense.
Wait,
what?
So, what?
Like, okay, so now you're.
Wait a minute. I missed what she just said. My husband walked in. Did she just say she was on the way there to when the pizza guy thing happened? Is that what Dominique said? Hold on.
Investigators finding another report, this one from August 2010. A Domino's pizza worker was delivering a pizza to Dee Dee. The spelling on her name, again, different. Claudinia, this time Blanchard with an E. Anyway, the worker says he delivered a pizza. Dee Dee tried to use a gift certificate from an out-of-state franchise. Driver said no, went to leave with the pizza, and she grabbed his shirt collar from behind and left red marks on his neck. The driver told authorities they'd had problems with her in the past, far cry from how she's described by others, like former neighbor Dominique. She described Dee Dee and Gypsy as super bubbly all the time. Kind of fake. Even when Gypsy looked so sick, like she was gonna die, always smiling, happy.
Oh yeah, what I could see, at least what they showed to me. I mean, again, I wasn't as close as these other people were, but what I saw, it just something never seemed like real. They didn't seem very real. It seemed like they were all in their own world, their own make-believe world of Disney and Marvel and all the pretend.
But Dominique also talks about walking up to the house, hearing the two yelling at each other.
I remember knocking on their door for some reason I don't remember, and Dee Dee barely cracked it open and had her robe on, but it was like maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. I just can't. I'm sick today, and come back another day." But it was weird because I heard a bunch of yelling outside, so I think that's the reason. I just know that I went there. I was on my way there, and I heard a bunch of yelling, and so it just didn't make sense, So, like, okay, so now you're acting like you just woke up.
I asked Sheriff Arnott about all the Facebook messages that came to light with the Freedom of Information Act release, the FOIAs. The ones that show Dee Dee, Gypsy's dad, Rod, and stepmother Christy actually having a loving and kind relationship, talking about medical complications and invitations to come to Springfield and stay at their house during a hurricane. Talks of Rod taking Gypsy on vacation, something he backed out of fairly quickly. No, Sheriff Arnott says he didn't know about them. Those would be rabbit holes.
What does it have to do with the murder of Dee Dee? It could be play into a role of the defense from Gypsy, maybe. And of course, that's what her attorney does, is pull up all that information to use in court. But for us, the facts were the facts. She had planned it out. She had him come down. They had a full plan to go to a hotel afterward.
Okay, so basically what this boils down to is this. They had who they wanted. They had a neat little package that they could make a jury believe, and that's that. They didn't want to do anything else. They didn't want to consider the possibility that there could be other people involved, that there could be a different type of motive, that maybe this isn't what it appears. Hello. This is absolutely 100% a tunnel vision. We have what we need, and that's all we need, and we don't want to look at anything else because it'll ruin what we need to prove this one thing. It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. All right, guys, we're about 20 minutes out. Is everybody still wanting to keep listening? I'm just infuriated, but it just, man, oh man. That would be one of the rabbit holes they didn't want to go down. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I love rabbit holes. I think I'm like I'm gonna be a persona to be Alice in Wonderland because I love rabbit holes and I think rabbit holes are awesome. And I think that Sheriff Arnott needs to do his fucking job and
Yeah.
go and stuff his ass into a rabbit hole and go and learn some things.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to mail the weapon back to his house, all those things were planned out. That's the investigation that we looked into. You
didn't look into the fact that there wasn't actually any type of cab drive to the actual post office for them to actually drop that weapon off? You didn't look into that? You didn't look into the fact that it's nowhere near where they were staying, so they couldn't have walked there. They would have had to take a cab, and there was no cab drive to that post office. You didn't think that maybe the post office worker's story was weird when she's saying that she wrote on the package for them, but you can look at Gypsy's handwriting and know that it's not the girl who wrote it, it's Gypsy who wrote it. You didn't think that was odd or look into that. It's closer to Dan's house where he currently lived with his cousin who has been convicted of SA charges of children. Yeah, you didn't think that was important to look at, right? No, it didn't. No, okay. Yeah, you're right. You had the murder weapon being mailed to his house by not them. You didn't think that was important.
Because then the feds would have to be involved, Fancy.
I know.
Then you would have to call the feds, and that's more trouble. You don't want the feds.
Well, yeah, because if you call the feds are going to blow the whole thing apart. They're going to look at the doctors, the lawyers, the everything. Yeah. Because it is actually part of the case. I don't know if you know that or not. I don't think this man understands what evidence actually is. But hey, there's that.
Lifetime of lies and manipulation. It got
and
so
fraud, which is a crime.
Had to have a stopping point.
And little cooperation made investigating difficult.
Not everybody was completely open with, this is what I think. It was hard to track that information down because they didn't want to get it wrapped up in a scam of some kind or get charges filed on them, because they have information on some type of fraud or something. So yeah, it was tough weighing through those things.
Oh God, it's so hard for being a police officer doing your job.
Both. I mean, just, you go out of state and start doing an investigation. A lot of people don't really want to talk to you because they don't know what it is, and then they don't know the extent that
people like to get paid for nothing.
Gotten into, and what she said and what she hasn't said.
What'd you say?
Get paid for nothing.
Yes.
That's what he wanted to do. Get paid for nothing.
Doing nothing.
Yep.
He did what he was told. He got his murder conviction. That's it. That's all he cared about. They didn't care about nothing else. They just wanted that conviction, and they wanted to throw the book at Nicholas, and that was it. They did it. All of this just to cover up everything else that's wrong in their fucking town, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so he thought other people were guilty of fraud, and he didn't want to investigate that. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Idiot.
Because there's a lot of untruths, whether it was a scam or not, different things. They didn't tell the truth.
We talked about Gypsy being on social media, influencing young women and girls. He hasn't seen any of Gypsy's antics on platforms like TikTok, but even after his 2 episodes of Life After Lockup, his opinion is strong.
No, I would say absolutely not. Internet or media. I also don't think my grandkids should have it either. So it's one of those deals. That'll never happen. But I think she's in the spotlight now and will be for a while. So everybody will watch her moves. But I mean, that's what's got everybody talking, because she does do that, and a lot of people have spun the opposite direction on her, thinking she was a victim, and now they think she was the mastermind of everything, and continues to be, to get on TV and get all these appearances on these different shows. And that's the good thing about living in the United States, is you have that freedom of speech and can do these things. Other than the entertainment value, it's disgusting, because it really revolves around the murder of her own mother. And you don't see her talk about that in the specials very much. She talks about being a victim, but she really won't talk about the actual murder of her mom.
And he says, none of this should be surprising.
She was there in the house when it happened, did nothing to stop it, planned it out. and then celebrate it afterwards. And that's what we need to come back to and go, that's the person that she is. She's not the celebrity she thinks she is.
I went to prison for 8.5 years because
My mom.
Oh my God. Hey, we listen and we don't judge.
Do you feel that should have been a stipulation of her sentence?
I don't think you could enforce that. You know?
Because she's making a lot of money.
I'm sure she is.
What do you mean you don't think she could enforce that? I don't even understand what that means. We enforce it for many criminals every fucking day. And again, it should be the platforms that are required by law to not allow these types of people to be on their platforms. I mean, yeah, I understand. Okay, that means the celebrity they made her into. But without all of that, if none of that was allowed, then it could be enforced. That's the thing. But they allowed it all. And not only did they allow it all, they participated in it all. That's even more crazy to me. That the prosecutor on the case participated in a documentary, 2 of them, no less, before one of the co-conspirators went to fucking to court, to trial, is absolutely insane to me. There should have been no cooperation from the prosecution office with that. None.
But we work for the victims. That's really our job.
He works for the victims.
We work for the victims. She's not a victim. She was a suspect. And did we get justice? I think we got justice. But when you see somebody get out and take advantage of it and is doing the same things that she claimed that her mom did, that's what she's doing right now. And
that is true.
You can't tell me there's a difference.
Here's the funny thing. She's claiming that it was her mom, but she's the one doing it now. So if she's the one doing it now, wouldn't you stand a reason to think maybe she was the one doing it then too? I mean, just saying. If it was, if it hasn't changed, then maybe it was the same person and not the person who's dead. Just maybe.
I asked Sheriff Arnott about fraud. There's a letter addressed to Into the Weeds podcast. They had requested any records related to fraud from Dee Dee and Gypsy. It says, quote, "It is our position that such fraud case does not exist. Therefore, we have nothing to provide." End quote. Sheriff Arnott clarifies this does not mean that no fraud was found.
So that's where we got to the point of all this information coming in about potential fraud, and we decided it didn't really matter, because there's no one to go after for it. And
except for the schmurderer sitting in your freaking office. No one to go after. So he's just negating the fact that she was a full grown ass fucking adult committing this fraud all by her damn self.
Absolutely.
And he just didn't want to bother to investigate that because apparently that doesn't matter. It matters because you could have charged her and she would have gone to jail for longer. Even if the plea deal on the schmurder was given, she still would have been charged on all of that. She committed adult crimes.
Also, she would have been charged with federal crimes as well for fraud.
Exactly. But no, you didn't look into it. You didn't bother. You disserviced the whole thing, and that's why she's out here right now. She could have gotten another 10, 20 years even. Hell, fucking Murdaugh's doing more time on freaking the fraud charges than he'll ever do on a murder charge. Like, you don't understand. Fraud could have put her in jail for life just on its own. On its own. But they didn't want to investigate that. That's just a rabbit hole they didn't want to go down. And he told his staff not to do it. You heard him. He told his staff. Not Patterson told me that we don't want to investigate that. I told my staff, stop. Don't investigate that anymore because there's no one to prosecute because Dee Dee's dead. So you couldn't prosecute the doctors that did it? You couldn't prosecute... What?
Because it will become a major crime. It will become really astronomical. Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. You didn't want to lift the rug so that all of your dirty skeletons could come running out. Gross. Just gross.
We need to focus on, the actual crime that took place, and that's the murder. So at one point we just didn't look at it anymore because it didn't help or it didn't hurt the investigation. So we just had to limit our scope and just, narrow it down to finishing the case.
Again, his job was to show who murdered Dee Dee. Everything else, back to the rabbit holes.
It's very hard to go, well, we need to look at the fraud in Louisiana, where she came from.
No, that's not what anybody asked.
Just at that point. Now I can see why people want to put that whole picture together to see whose fault it is. What percentage of blame can we put on Dee Dee? What percentage of blame can we put on Gypsy? I get that now. But, at the time, that's not...
Okay, so Jen, Dog, and Pups, though, I have to ask you, do you go to work and work every day and not get paid? Because this is when content creators do make this content, that's work. That's research, that's time away from their families, it's time putting it together, it's editing, it's all of those things. So nobody should profit. Well, then what about A&E and HBO and everyone that does that? They profit every day. I think that's really ridiculous that we can't talk about something because you think that that's somehow not content that's worthy. I don't know. I mean, it's really absurd for people to think that people should just go and do work on something every single day for free. I don't understand. I don't understand.
A lot of us put in the sweat equity because we truly are passionate about the case. It's not so much
and
about
those of us that have scruples are the ones that don't make money. I've not made money on this at all.
Me neither.
I have put more money into putting this out there and getting all this information out there for you guys than I'll ever make on it. Even if I sell my documentary, I won't make all the money I put out.
I'm giving you all my money that I got. The money I made, I give it back to Fancy.
I appreciate that. But I'm serious. Colleen, Christina, I, and Mac have put out more money than we'll ever see from this. It just is. Like, I don't think you guys understand. We have to pay for all the services that we use, the editing services, the broadcasting services. We pay for all that,
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like, but then you've got Becca over here who wants to steal everybody's content and do all of this, and she's making $8,000 a month. So it's frustrating because those of us that won't play this dumb game that they all play and won't participate in the drama, we don't make jack shit, So it's not fair. The deck is stacked against the good people always. It's always stacked against us. The house always wins. That's the thing, and it's sad and it's upsetting because it shouldn't be like that. I never thought I was going to get rich from this, but I never thought that I was going to sink my whole life into it either, So
what we're looking for, we're there to make an arrest and to prove who murdered Dee Dee, and we did.
This is a case that hasn't faded away, though, as far as he's concerned.
I get asked these questions all the time. If I travel to another state, you're Gypsy Rose Sheriff. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And, then they throw out the things aren't always as they appear. And I go, well, yeah. But the thing with that is what is bad is just the level of manipulation all the way around. And so to come out and be like a rock star of some kind that people are following and watching, and good grief. I mean, that's the part that I don't understand. So I'm definitely not on her side today. And if you watch any of the shows, which I've watched just a couple, it's a disgusting thing of manipulation that she's famous for plotting and going through with killing her mother.
I asked Sheriff Arnott about the idea that Gypsy may have played a bigger role in the actual stabbing. And her physically being in that bedroom doesn't change anything?
I don't know. It may have changed a perspective, but to be quite honest, as part of the crime, I mean, she was part of the planning. It was premeditated murder. She was an active participant in it.
How can you sit here and act like her being actually in the room and participating in the murder itself doesn't change anything? What do you mean that doesn't change anything? That takes her from being a sideline participator to the actual perpetrator doing the actual act. What do you mean that doesn't change anything?
Oh, it does.
That changes anything. What the? Are you kidding? This man is like as dumb as a fucking box of rocks, man. I can't. I can't. You know what? It's not even that he's dumb. It's that he expects us to believe him, and he thinks we're dumb.
Well, that's like the going narrative that we're all just a bunch of idiots.
We're just a bunch of idiots. Yeah, because we ask questions about a guy going through a window that he can't possibly fit through. God, we're so stupid.
I want to see like a meme of David Blanchard trying to fit through that window.
I tried to get my thing to make it, and I couldn't. It didn't do it right. Because what I wanted, I saw it. I saw it, and I saw him turning into like a dolphin and slithering through the window, and I wanted it to do him going in the window and him coming back out the window, and going in the window and coming out the front door, in the window, out the front door, 3 people go in. I wanted it to do it, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do at all. I was like, this is not what I want, because I wanted it to just be really fast and funny, and it made this whole long thing about it, and I'm like, no, that's not what I asked you to do. It's just there was so many more people that should have been investigated on the fraud level of this. I get that you're okay, fine. The schmurder's the schmurder, the fraud's the fraud. But how do you just ignore crimes? How do you go, oh, there's all these other crimes that were committed inside of this. No, those aren't important. We're just not going to pay any attention to those. They don't matter. It's okay. I mean, really? Seriously? I just, man, oh man.
You help conceal. She's just as guilty as the person that stabbed her mom.
But there wasn't a big chatter amongst investigators that you thought that she was doing any of the stabbing or was in the room when...
No, not really.
No, we didn't discuss anything because we're stupid.
I asked him several questions there were no real answers to. I asked about certain DNA samples not being tested. He didn't know. I asked if anything stood out to him concerning Nick's secret he said he's taking to the...
Carrie Anthem, they can't recharge her for schmurder, but they sure as shit could have charged her for everything else. That's what I just told you. If they had prosecuted her for all the fraud, she'd still be in jail today. She wouldn't be out yet, even with a plea deal. That's what we're talking about. And every single other person who was involved in the fraud would have also gone to jail. But they didn't. They ignored crime after crime after crime after crime. Could the feds pick it up? Sure. Are they going to? No. Not unless they really, really get into this fraud situation. And I'm not sure with the current situation of the federal government right now that they want to expose any more of their own fucking corruption at all. So, I mean, it's just all bad. It's all bad. They didn't do their jobs, and this is the results. And yes, the statute of limitations on a lot of the fraud ran out while she was in prison for 8 years. 8 years is actually the statute of limitations in Missouri for fraud like that. Isn't that funny that that's how long she got? Wow. Weird.
Grave. Nothing stood out. I asked about VisionCon, Gypsy deleting a bunch of those pictures before her arrest. Sheriff Arnott says the whole VisionCon aspect was weird, but didn't find anything criminal. I asked about David Blanchard, the window he went in and out of. Sheriff Arnott didn't know. We sat in his office for over an hour and a half. I asked about a lot. But again, it was his investigators who were in the thick of it. It's been more than a decade ago, or it didn't matter to the murder case, and only the murder case. Mike Stanfield, Gypsy's public defender, later becoming Gypsy's manager. I asked, bad optics? Yes, he agreed. Bad optics. And I asked about the HBO documentary, about that show coming out before Nick's trial.
I don't like shows that come out before the trial is done and those things. So, because you don't want to sway anyone's thinking, but I think the information at the trial that came out, I think, was enough for somebody to make the judge and everyone to make a decision. So, I don't think the HBO special swayed that. And the sheriff looked nothing like me that portrayed in that thing, by the way. So I just want for the audience, I do not look like Wilford Brimley, and that's who that looked like. So
For the record.
I did not like the way Mommy, Dad, and Dearest portrayed Sheriff Arnott.
Right. Yeah, it's not Mommy, Dad, and Dearest dipshit. It's the act, but whatever.
I definitely don't wear my hat tilted back like that.
Okay, so the deal is, it's hard to learn so much after the release of all the documents and these videos. I, admittedly, went on a rant about all of the lies. Gypsy is so frustrating. Able to get the videos and other documents, GPS records, and DNA, like all of 2011, the shift. She tells her mom she can walk. She tells Nick on video, seeing Facebook messages between Rod and Dee Dee and Christy, and they're loving. Wild. Like, you guys are having a hurricane. Come on up here and stay. Is Gypsy going to go on that vacation with you? City, because she needs treatment. So mom's getting really sick. Parkinson's. We're piecing these together through messages, medicine that we see in the crime scene. The pellet gun where Gypsy shoots her, that happened. Hey, I was able to, lie to my mom about this, and she doesn't know about that and let me grow up. She's not going to help me pay for rent when we were crying, the manipulation wanting to date older men. You see that shift too within that. The film goes up on the windows, right? Because we think Gypsy was walking and her mom doesn't know what to walk. What am I supposed to tell the community? We can't reveal this. Now she calls you guys because her medicine's been stolen again, and we know it's Gypsy. Gypsy says she's shoving it in her feeding tube. Googling what are the most common medicines that kids steal, what to do when kids steal. Yes, coordinate to Rare Breed. Did she go? Did she take Gypsy there? We don't know, but there is actual messages between Nick and Gypsy. Mom's going to kick me out. I don't know what to do. You got to get here. This timeline has to be bumped up. Oh my God, you guys, I ranted for like 5 freaking minutes. He was very patient with me. At the end, he looked at me like, do you feel better? Sir, that's what we're... So his answer, right? Okay, here we go. Did a lot of those things that I just said to you, is that new information?
Some of it is.
How?
To me, it may not have been to the investigators specifically, turning over the records and stuff, but some of that is, yeah.
And I think that's where people are like, why wasn't this highlighted more amongst you and the prosecutor? And it paints a different picture.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It does. Maybe it doesn't. But the thing is she's guilty of the crime. I think the issue is how much time did she serve? I think that's really the issue. So I think most people are not looking at, was she found guilty? It's more of, well, she was found guilty, but he's doing life and she did 8 years. No matter how much time you get, it's never enough for the investigators most of the time, unless it's life or death. And so I don't think anyone thinks that she served the appropriate amount of time. But also you get 10 years, you don't do 10 years. That's also an issue with sheriffs, is that getting law passed that says that if you get sentenced to, like, truth in sentencing, you get 10 years, then you do 10 years, or you do maybe 80%, but most don't. If you get 10 years in Missouri, you probably do a year and a half, and then you get out.
What the hell is he talking about? You don't get 10 years and do a year and a half. You have to do 85%.
I heard him say that.
Crime. What the hell is he talking about?
I guess he didn't take his Wheaties on the day he did the recording.
Hello? He's like, they should have to do 80%. Well, sir, in your state, they have to do 85%. Did you know that? I mean, you're in law enforcement in your state. You should probably know. Well, they got 10 years for doing a year and a half. That's not how it works. I didn't say he can stipulate the sentence. I'm simply telling you he's an idiot. You just contradicted yourself and you don't even know your own state's laws. Wow. Weirdo.
And so I don't think anybody does enough time for the crime that they do. So I think that's what you see people being disappointed in the system.
Right.
Is that she didn't do enough time. I think that's where the issue is. And I don't know that a different decision would be made.
And back to that. All that stuff didn't matter to his investigators because their job was to uncover who murdered Dee Dee. And it was Gypsy and Nick. For just a second, can we go back to, man, Gypsy gets me all riled up. And I'm not the only one. But this isn't totally like me. I mean, I'm animated and passionate, yes. But I feel like I got off track some.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. It's so true. Like, oh my God, you're going to meet and greets and putting both hands on the table and leaning forward and being like, do you even know what's going on in your own backyard? You don't know anything about this case. Oh, you thought it was messed up? You don't know anything. Yeah, it was a world. You've been in a world.
Pamela Shelby is my sister. And she's also my producer.
So I want to start off by giving context to how we got here, because we had just launched season 2 in March of 2025. And after we had done this initial push to get the season live after 5 years of investigation and putting it together, we had a moment where it's like, okay, now what's...
So that's all of it. Basically, it's the next few minutes of them talking about why they did this and everything. And I don't think there's anything else from him. Not that he imparted any wisdom in the first place. So basically, he just covered his own ass through the whole thing and told us nothing and gave us lip service. I mean, it was a useless interview, in my opinion. I mean, it shows the lack of scruples, the lack of, or the laziness, the lack of investigation, and that he still stands behind his stupidity today. This is terrible. It's just awful. And wow. Just wow. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. I don't know. I was hoping for something else. This infuriated.
What were you expecting, Fancy? What were you expecting?
I don't know. I thought maybe more along the lines of how Hancock was with Becca and saying that, there's things that we wished we would have done or we didn't. But no, he instead of saying that and saying, we should have probably investigated this more or whatever. No, he just doubles down on it. It's like, I think we did a good job. For you to sit here and to tell us that you think you did a good job just shows how absolutely delusional you are. It's upsetting. It's just upsetting. I was really hoping for something better than this. It just, Amber, I don't know if you meant to hit the button. I don't know you, so I'm going to let you up, but I don't know if you hit it by accident. A lot of people do. So if you want to come up, you can. I don't know if you meant to hit the button there, Amber, or not. Hey, Amber.
Hi, I've actually been on your panel before. I just changed my profile picture.
Oh, okay.
For TOS purposes, I am 29, just because, TikTok.
Yeah,
but anyway, what I think is nuts, just listening to the interview, because I've been watching you since 2024, is the fact that out of all the time that you've spent combing through all of the evidence and everything else like that, you finally came to the conclusion of, oh my gosh, she is actually the evil person I didn't think she was capable of, right? So taking that and putting to the side for a second, if they would have actually investigated and had a whole office worth of people like they usually do, they would have came to the same conclusion. It took you almost however many years to finally go, wait a minute. So that's the part where I'm like, brother, what are you doing?
Yeah, he even said that he had 20 investigators on it. You had 20 investigators on it, and you couldn't be bothered to run down some rabbit holes. You didn't think that the fraud, which is the crux of the whole damn case, was freaking important. I can't. I'm so frustrated. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this. Like, I didn't expect him to just justify and say, well, we did a great job and I'm proud of us and we got a conviction. Like, that wasn't what I expected out of this. This infuriated me. Like, in all ways, because they had all of this evidence. They had it all. We didn't have it, back in 2017 to 2019 when we were trying to figure this out in the first place. And I finally did flip over, from one side to the other. I didn't have all this. I just knew that what I smelled and what I looked at wasn't making any sense. I was like, this smells like shit. I can tell that I can smell the manure coming out of their mouths, like it just, and this to me was such just a cover his own ass. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like he did it because he knows that there's a lot of people calling him out right now and he just got this great big promotion. And so he's got to prove that he still stands behind what he did.
Well, the thing that stood out to me was the fact that he kind of fluffed over the fact that, he didn't have to investigate very far. But it's like, how many schmides that you have to investigate the motivation to understand the full picture. And you're just going to make it sound like, oh, that's not relevant. It's okay. We know what happened. Like, dude, literally every criminal justice department investigates the motive to understand why this action was occurred. So you're just not going to acknowledge that? That's weird.
It is. And I mean, to speak to that, you don't have to prove motive in the court. Like, it helps, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to prove it. But when the motive becomes the crux of everything, instead of okay, let's say the motive was she wanted to be with Nicholas and Dee Dee didn't want him to be together. Okay. That's motive. You don't really need to investigate further than that because it is what it is. Okay. There's the motive. But when it becomes, she's claiming that she did this, and she's trying to go for self-defense here and claim that she did this because she was being shabused, and then you find out that the shabuse didn't occur, you need to look further into, well, what the fuck are we looking at here? And then to know that all of that was supposedly framed as shabuse is fraud of a murderer who was an adult at the time committing the fraud is just beyond me. Beyond me. Those are crimes. Your job isn't to investigate one crime. Your job is to investigate crime.
Right. And the other thing too, because I remember when Mac would be up and whatever, and we went through the interrogation video and all that stuff. If you were a good detective, cop, whatever, wouldn't you not find that suspect and be like, wait, if you're getting schmused at home, why are you talking about the Harry Potter cast? Why are you talking about all these lavish things you've been able to do? This would be the time to talk about, I didn't know what to do. This is terrible. I was in a terrible situation. I was trying to get out, and unfortunately events took place. But no, instead you're talking about, look what I was able to go do. Look what I have. Look at all these fancy things that I own or did. That how is that not a red flag too? That's just my mind.
If they'd gone to trial, the fraud would have played the biggest part in all of it, and they would have been forced to investigate all of that because it would have been to refute the defense's story. So they would have had to. But that's why the plea was done. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do all this. They didn't want to open the can of worms. They didn't want to look at what really was going on. They didn't care. They had their suspects. They had a very easy, simple story to understand in a way. And they just put a great big shiny red bow on it and called it a day, and that's the thing. But if they had done their jobs, then the prosecutor would have been able to realize there were no mitigating circumstances. And so there was no justification for what she did. And she doesn't deserve a plea deal. And that would have all had to have been presented to the jury. And the jury would have come out, in my opinion, with a freaking life sentence. Yeah, and they never mentioned it anywhere. Other than when he first starts off, he says, this is this appears to be a long financial con. Okay. Then why didn't you investigate the long financial con and all the people involved in the con? It's a crime in your county. It's a bigger crime in your county than a schmurder. The schmurder took out one person. Fraud affected lots of people. Mm-hmm. And if there was so much fraud in this case, what makes you think there isn't more fraud? Because if they're doing it,
she isn't still doing it.
Or that she isn't still doing it, or that the people that helped her do it aren't still doing it in your town.
Exactly.
These are still doctors at hospitals. These are still people well respected in your community. Like, hello? No, she didn't get disability checks for a complete con, though. That's the thing. That's the problem I have, because they frame this as, well, it was just fraud, and that's the thing. And, Dee Dee wasn't really sick, and Dee Dee was doing this. But when that is stripped away, when you realize that that's not true, and that she did have all of these complex problems, and that she was really sick, then what are you actually looking at, dude? Because it becomes a whole lot more sinister.
Especially after you see the autopsy. I don't know if that's safe to say on TikTok, but yeah. I remember we went through that too. And you go through all of she had nothing in her system. She had potential gout, all this other stuff. And then it goes, oh, wow, that's actually a lot more serious of the action taken against her life than what they're making it out to be. And then to say, oh, it's a clean cut case. Dude, if you would have this information way before the public did, how did you not see that also not being a red flag?
Yeah, there is fraud. Okay, there is fraud. It's not Dee Dee's fraud. It's not fraud that way. Like, it's a hard thing, but if they'd looked into it, what the doctors were doing, like I said earlier, when the doctors found out that she was over the age of 18, they didn't say, oh, okay, well, we're not going to see her anymore because we're pediatricians and you've lied to us and we don't want to be involved. No, what do? They take her care and they move it from one town to another town and start all over and tell the new doctors that they're sending her out to that she's 14 years old again. So how can you say that there's not fraud? There is fraud. That is the fraud. The doctors that did that committed fraud. The people who stole committed fraud. So yeah, there is fraud. It's just not the fraud that they want you to believe it is. Because if it's the fraud that we say it is, then there's a much larger problem going on. Does that make sense? Guys, that's the problem. They didn't want it to be the fraud that made all of them culpable.
Oh no, Lisa, sorry, I don't mean to take over by any means, but it goes a lot deeper than just, county benefits or medication. Yeah. It goes literally state to state fraud, where people almost to the level of where Minnesota's been on the news kind of level of fraud, just on a more localized-ish level comparatively to ICE. So yeah. So financial fraud would have been defrauding any of the charities and things like that, and anybody that they scammed out of money. Think about all the people that they scammed out of money. That would be fraud, but it just is back again. You have to figure out who was the culpable people. And when you start looking at this, you know that if there's fraud in this case with the doctors, then how many other cases of fraud is there? How many other things are they doing like this? And then you have to start looking at all of their cases. You got to look at every person that they treat. It becomes a huge mess. And that's what they didn't want. It was messy. And they didn't want that. So they gave you a neat little bow, a cute little package story so that they didn't have to do anything else and expose themselves. Because I'm telling you, if they had really looked into this, the corruption is huge. It's huge. I think there's something very sinister going on. Just my opinion. Before I drop my thought map, when I was listening to that, goes, if the FBI were to decide, you know what, we're just going to investigate, because being that we are starting to go through the fraud going through the United States, let's say the FBI decides, you know what, now is probably a good time. I wonder how many people in that web would end up in Fed lockup.
Yeah. It's got repo written all over it, especially after the fact. Yeah. For sure. And I just looked up, somebody's like, well, why didn't the feds take it from the beginning? Well, because if the state authorities don't alert the feds don't do anything. It's not like the feds would have been alerted that the murder weapon was mailed across state lines, and that automatically means they have to come in. No, they don't. And most of the time, if a federal agency is involved in a state level investigation, it's because the state invites them in. They can't just come in and take over. There's extreme circumstances of how the feds would have been able to take over, and they didn't need it. Now, if they'd asked them, then they could have. But I mean, it's just, that's the thing. And so the feds don't necessarily get called in all the time to pick up cases like this. It would have been the state level police's job to do that and to inform them, hey, we've got something really big here. We don't know what this is, you know? So.
Yep. Anyway, thanks, Fancy, for having me up. It's good to see you again after a long time. So
yeah. Thank you. Okay, guys. Okay, we're to 45,000 guys taps. Can we get it to 50 and then to go? I'm going to wrap this up here because I've got things I want to do. But maybe if you guys tap real hard for the next few minutes, we can get it up to 50. I'd love to end that way. That's always a good number. I mean, in the chat, what are your thoughts? If anybody wants to come up and ask any questions, this is the time to do it. You know, they actually committed a crime by not turning in the mailing of the knife. Now, see, that might be, that could very well be, Billy. I agree with that because that is a federal crime through the mail, and that could have been easily. Yeah, you're right. So, but a lot of times they don't go federal. If it's not a huge federal case, the feds will let it be prosecuted at the state level. So, anyway, how's everybody? What'd y'all think? Did you like it? I mean, it's infuriating. I don't know. I don't feel like we got anything out of it other than to know exactly how shitty they were.
That's about it.
The gist of it is we were a shitty department then, and we're still a shitty department today. Thank you, Amber. Appreciate you.
Thank you for all your investigative journalism.
I mean, it just that was basically the whole interview.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And for him to act like that he was unaware of evidence is just beyond me. Like, you know, I get that he's the big honcho, and so he doesn't get all of it, but your investigators had it. And if you were listening to your investigators in that room where you were talking about it and your investigators were trying to tell you and you tell your investigators to stop, then that's your fault. Not your investigators' fault. That's your fault. And you've blamed, it's been largely blamed on Patterson. Now, we're hearing it wasn't Patterson. It was you, Mr. Arnott. How do you explain that? Well, you do. Well, it didn't matter because it didn't matter because it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. No other crimes mattered. No other crimes mattered in all of this.
It just tells you how his department handles all cases in his hands.
All cases.
That's what it shows you. Maybe we should look a little bit deeper and look into the cases that he has fumbled.
Oh, I've looked into several and I have major questions.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 cases handled by his department and the Greene County, the Greene County Police Department already that I just find highly suspicious, and very oddly handled. What I can tell you is they don't go by protocol down there. They do whatever the fuck they want to do. And nobody holds any of them accountable.
The good old boy network.
Oh, thank you, Amber. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's definitely a good old boy network. This is the epitome of that kind of case. Exactly. You know, like slap the sheriff on the back of and ask him out to dinner, you know, like it just when the judge in the town's got bloodstains on his hands. How about that? You know? Yeah. It just shows the level of corruption, the level of ignorance, the absolute botching of this, and their need to somehow justify those actions is absolutely absurd to me. I couldn't, you know, but okay, guys, 49.5. Let's do it. Come on. You can do 500 more. Let's go. Come on. Oh, 49.6. You already get 100 more. So thank you guys. You know, I've got mixed feelings on him, but I feel like Nancy should have pushed back just a little bit more. I do. I wish she had asked him some tougher questions. You know, but I guess, I mean, his answer would have been the same. I don't know. And it wasn't important to me. You know, there we go. Thank you guys. We got to 50. Woo! Anyway, guys, that's it for today. I felt like I would share this with y'all and give some information as to what I thought about it. I'm seriously very, very disappointed. What questions would I have asked? I think it would have been follow-up questions to things that he answered in a way that I would have thought that he wasn't giving me a truthful answer. I would have gone back and I would have said to him when he says it wasn't important. I think I would have said, but wouldn't it have been important to you guys if it blew apart the entire story and the narrative and it revealed that there was something bigger going on? Wouldn't that have been important to you guys? I think that's it. I would have just pushed back some. Was the money in media attention worth not requesting a gag order? Yep. I think that would have been a good one. I mean, there was just a lot that I think, why didn't they check that? I wish she had asked about the SD card and what he felt about that. And it never even being looked at. I think that would have been something I would have asked, is why did you have evidence in your evidence locker that you didn't look at? Because they had every right to look at it. Okay. So they had every right to look at the SD card because it was collected inside of a warrant search. Okay. Now the rest of it, of whether or not it was admissible or not in court, is totally different. But they had it and they chose not to look at it. That's the issue with the SD card. Because if investigators had looked at it and found something on it, then in 2022, it wouldn't have been considered a fishing expedition to now look at it. I don't understand how you have a piece of evidence like an SD card sitting in a camera that a schmurderer brought all the way from Missouri to here, and you didn't even bother to look at it. It was never even opened. What if that had the whole schmurder on it and everything they told you was a lie? What if Nicholas and Gypsy lied to you? Did you ever think about that? I mean, because I don't know, but I've never seen a schmurderer tell the truth in an interrogation in my life. Not without some serious freaking pulling. Okay? They ain't gonna just walk in and tell you they did it. And of course they're going to give you a narrative, the whatever. She got Nicholas to say what she needed Nicholas to say so she wouldn't be implicated and no one else would be either. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. I wish this had all gone differently though. It's very unfortunate. And, it's just where we're at is I don't think we'll ever see a clear resolution on this like any of us would want. It's sad. The biggest thing could be is, a truthful documentary, which I'm working my ass off on. So, that's it. That's all, and I wish that, mainstream media would come off of this narrative, but to do so, they have to admit that they participated in the lie willfully. It's not ignorantly. It was willfully. They covered this up. They covered up the fraud. They covered up the medical records. They covered it all up. And they would have to admit to that and admit that they lied to the public about this case and ruined this case forever. And it just like him saying that that there was no indication to them. There was no conversation about the fact that in the autopsy report, did it indicate that she was in the room? Okay, well then how can you explain that several of those jab wounds were not left-handed? They were right-handed. Nicholas told you he didn't switch up he didn't switch hands. So you believed him on other things, so why not believe him on that? Why didn't you look into that? Because it did. Oh, and if she was in the room, it wouldn't have mattered. No, the splatter on her shirt is her own, unfortunately, which is weird. According to the DNA results, at least. But that just doesn't make sense to me. Him saying that really just blew me away. Like, oh no, it wouldn't make any difference if she was in the room and she actually did the jabs. What? Are you serious? Like, really? It doesn't matter? Wow. Okay. Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. Hidden, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we go?
You did it best. I can't think of anything, and I'm also in a loud ass store. So I appreciate you for having me up. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate you for sitting with me. So
I always love your commentary. So
thank
keep
you
doing what you do. And see you again next time.
Alrighty, guys. Have a good one from the Good Wives, serving up true crime one dish at a time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.